Okay, everyone. Welcome to the initial Armchair Football broadcast. We've got Harry and Alan with us. Harry, you are not a United States citizen. You are from
New Zealand, and I'm
and
real.
what is the current?
I'm not
And what is the current? What's the current time there?
It is 12:30, just after midday on Wednesday, the 11th of August.
Yeah, it's 12:30 tomorrow.
So it's kind of like talking to Back to the Future, where the guy knows the.
He already knows how Ashby Star turns out. That's why he's not saying anything, because he already knows what happens.
Yeah, I'm really good at sports betting because I know the results.
Is there any one or two or maybe even three quick myths about New Zealand you want to dispel to us dumb Americans? Or?
I think there's a myth out there that there's more cows than people in New Zealand. It might have been true 20 years ago, but I think definitely there's more people here. There's 5 million people. I'd say there's probably a couple of million cows most. Okay. I did go to a comedian, Ronnie Chang. He's on The Daily Show, if anyone's seen that show. He was doing a show here last Friday, and he was going on about it, how he grew up in Malaysia, and they had all these TV ads about how New Zealand has the best beef in the world, and there's like more cows than people, but I'm 99% sure we have more people than cows now. What else? We do exist. There's a Reddit thread saying, "Does New Zealand exist?" I'm here. I don't know if that confirms or denies it to you, but I'm here. And yeah, just one with Tony before when we were just chatting pre. We're not part of Australia. We're our own separate country. We're not actually attached. There's water all around us. We're an island.
Full disclosure, I did tell him that I thought Australia and New Zealand shared an island.
It's fair enough.
I will admit when I screw up. Anyone knows that.
So did you think that there was just like a land bridge, or did you think?
No, I just thought almost like oh gosh, what's that island in the Caribbean where I think it's the Dominican Republic and Haiti share or something like they're just divided. I thought divided. Yeah, split in half or something like that. But I will say I don't know. Harry, you've watched a few of them. This is my. I did buy Foster's. Oh, there it is.
It's an Australian beer.
Yeah,
I know it's Australian.
We are not Australia. We are not Australia.
Yeah, I just couldn't find anything New Zealand, and it was the closest thing I could find.
Yeah, New Zealand has it up in the last couple of years. There's some good craft breweries here now.
Oh yeah.
There's one called Panhead, which is pretty good. I don't know about the exports overseas at this point.
It's there's like a 2E or 2I or something like that. Does that sound right?
It's awful. Yeah.
Okay. So that was the one that popped up on Google.
Oh yeah. So there's Spates and Tui, which are the two real. They're like a 4% lager, and they're such a heavy drink. They're like closer to a dark beer probably than anything sort of more pilsnery or pale ale-y. But it's pretty. I grew up in Dunedin, which is a smaller place. Same spelling as where Toronto are playing. We're playing.
What are you a drinker? Do you drink?
I like craft beer. I haven't really grown into my spirits. I've tried a lot of times. I'm only 26, so getting there. But the rum whiskey thing that my dad and some of my other friends are really into. I'm getting there slowly, not quite on the rocks.
Are you guys 21 drinking age as well?
No, we're 18, and people start at 15, 16 here. I think if anything, binge drinking is one of our issues, I guess you'd say. People can get pretty silly pretty young. And it's quite funny because I think there's quite a few Kiwis I've known that have gone over to America universities, and they go over at 18, 19 when they finish high school, and they go from being able to drink here to not legally being able to drink or buy there. But it's pretty not me. I wouldn't say I'm high tier in terms of tolerance, but it's pretty normal by sort of early 20s, a lot of guys will polish off like 12 bottles or cans of 5-6% beer and be still going for the night. I'm probably more around the 6-7 mark, and then I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah,
that's a lot of the Kiwi guys. So kind of like on topic for American football, but a lot of the guys here in New Zealand play rugby, so they're quite built.
Yep.
So they've got a bit more room to put it away. I'm a bit more of a basketball player, sort of mold, point guard, 6'0", bit skinnier. So don't really have as much room to put it away.
I'm probably what you envision the typical American. I'm like 5'10", 220, 230. Just I've got a little bit of beer, belly and stuff like that. But
I've worked out the heights because of watching so much American sport, but the weight we're working in kilograms here.
So, gosh, I don't even know. Let me look that up. I'll do that real quick.
Quick Google Translate.
Yeah.
And technically we work in centimeters and meters for height rather than feet, but I've just grown accustomed to the feet.
So you guys do kilograms for weight. You don't do stone. Okay.
I couldn't tell you anything.
That's
about
like an English thing or like a British thing. Yeah.
So I'm 80 kgs, which is
I'm 104.
I don't know. Okay, yeah.
104 kilograms. That's what Google tells me. I don't know,
So I'm 80 kg, 2 pounds. I reckon I'm about 176, 177 pounds.
And then what do you know what you are in feet and inches or just kilometers?
Yeah, so I just squeak in 6'0". I'm 183 centimeters.
So we're about the same size height wise. So
give or take.
Yeah. Is there any other myths you want to dispel real quick, or anything you want to say about New Zealand? We're giving you the floor. Whatever you want to say.
Not many myths. I think in terms of American culture, I grew up accidentally. So we call our mum here M-U-M is how it's spelled instead of mom. And from watching just American shows, I started calling my mom, and she had to tell me off because that's not how we say it here. So yeah, I actually really influenced by American culture.
So that enunciation difference means a lot.
Yeah, me specifically with sport. I mean, we get ESPN here, which is unless I go finding streams on the internet. But before that age,
don't you guys get like Sky?
ESPN. We get Sky TV, which is like a paid TV service, but the only channel that shows baseball, American football, basketball is ESPN. So, and there's only one channel for that. Oh, there's two now, but they're pretty much just overlap. So we only get a couple of games a week of each of the sports. So until probably 5-6 years ago, when I really started to delve into finding just streams online and stuff, we don't have a lot of access to it. But I specifically I played a lot of basketball growing up when I was younger. So NBA was my first love, and I'd say it's still the sport I'm most knowledgeable about. To be fair, baseball, which is the first league I joined with this group of people, and now in football, is probably my third American sport in terms of
and he's crushing it,
being fully engaged.
You're doing quite well.
I've given up a lot of assets.
Don't be modest. You're crushing
it. You are the best.
The one asset I still have is the whose pick do I have? Sam's, the Texas team. I have the Rangers first round rookie pick for next year, which is slated to be number 3 at this point, that I've still hold on to. And I think I'm going to need that.
It'll be a lottery, so he'll have the third most balls.
Yeah.
In the lottery.
Okay. Yeah. So still a chance for a high pick.
It could be number 1.
Yeah, you could be number 1. Yeah.
So number 1, and I think I'm going to need that to replenish my farm system because I've traded away a lot. I think I traded away Luciano very early for Starling Marte, which has worked out for this year because Marte's still had a really, really good season. Probably a little bit less than I was hoping to get back for him, but I saw a lot of teams go hard early on trades, and I knew if I wanted to be in the mix this year, I was going to have to stock up, especially with sorry, we've gone on a tangent to baseball.
Oh, you're fine. We were just close. This is getting to know you.
How much I invested in him.
I have no idea what these trades are that you guys are talking about. I've never participated in one.
That's not your style. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say on the activity scale, like the amount of activeness I participate in this league, I'm somewhere in the middle. Where Tony, you'd be up the top.
Yeah, man, you haven't really needed to be. I mean,
no, you're
you guys haven't needed to be and have been able to stay the course, and you've been. You got the Pirates, Dodgers, Cardinals, Tigers, like the super consistent teams. The Mariners are up there, but he's made quite a few moves. He's really changed up quite a bit from like what he drafted. He's just made a few bigger moves, Seth has, but you really haven't had to do much. And now, like we just said, you're on the track to dominate the league and potentially end up with a pick that could very well be number 1 overall. Coming into the Jack Leiter, Yoki Cespedes sweepstakes, however you want to put it. Looking good, man.
Cool. Yeah, and then coming back to football for a bit, I guess. Basketball was my first love, but then football. My dad had a friend who left New Zealand to go to America with his family when they were like 10, 11 years old, and ended up in Philadelphia. So. He sent him back a lot of stuff on the Eagles, and so I grew up an Eagles fan with my dad. So we got to taste Super Bowl victory a couple of years ago, which was nice. And Dad's quite funny. He's like, I'm happy now. Like we've won a Super Bowl. He's like, if we suck for the next 10 years, I've won a Super Bowl. I couldn't be.
And even the next one, it's just not as when the Chiefs. When I got to see the Chiefs win it, it's like okay, I've seen it now. When the Cardinals won the World Series. For me, the first time in my life, you're just kind of good now. It's like it's never going to hit like it does that first time as a fan, at least to me. I know what he means. I feel that same way.
Just one quick thing. You said you're into basketball. What about college? Do you care about the university side on the States or just the pro?
Yeah, so I follow Penn State football. A little bit. We had a pretty shit over the season last year, but obviously COVID interrupted things a little bit. I'm hoping Sean Clifford
so many studs for so long.
Back. Yeah.
I'm an Iowa fan. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. So no, I didn't. But yeah, it's tough to follow college here. There's just not. Okay. You really have to go searching for your resources on it. I have the famous cult classic NCAA football 2014 video game that I emulate on my gaming laptop. So I've actually been playing that quite a bit recently. I've taken the Akron Zips, who are the worst rated team in the latest update, because there's a big community of modders who keep updating the rosters, even though the game's from 2014. This is the best college football game. So I took the worst. I did Hawaii my first run through earlier this year. I took them to a national championship, and it was quite hard because one of the main things recruits are looking for is close to home. And Hawaii, no one wanted to go apart from people here in Hawaii. So it was quite challenging, but we got there. But to be fair, it started off with like a 3-star prestige roster, so I had something to start with where the Akron Zip start was pretty minimal, and I'm sort of 5 seasons deep now, and we got ranked for the first time last week. I just love how immersed you can get in that, right? Because it's like you're handling the recruiting. I don't actually play a lot of the games. I'll play once my team starts getting close to a national championship, but the first couple of seasons where you stink and none of the players are going to stick around. It's
just build up. Yeah.
That was a game that I'm sad that it went to the wayside. NCAA football. They're
bringing it back.
They're bringing it back.
Yeah.
But will it be the same? It never is. Will it be the same? Maybe it will. Maybe they'll listen, and it won't be full of microtransaction bullshit, just like every other sports game is these days.
My sports gaming's gone downhill. I've gone back to sort of RPG solo experiences because I used to play a lot of 2K, Madden, FIFA. I can't do it anymore. It's too much.
It's too much, man. It's just too much. Ashby's looking good, baby. Ashby's looking good.
Nice.
So do we want to jump into? I think the first thing I want to go to was the the differences in the draft round with the football draft. So you guys can pull that up real quick because I sent it to you both of you. What I'm seeing. So,
This is the
I
difference
forgot.
between us and
I got to
CBS,
send
right?
you that. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yep, I'll get that to you real quick. Sorry.
I've got it.
Superflex.
Harry, I'm sure you know this. 4 of your first 6 picks were rookies. Were this year rookies. You went complete youth, like extravaganza.
I
for your
did,
team.
and it's quite funny because I do tend to lean win now and work it out down the track in terms of rebuilding and why would you sort of punch your first year. The funny thing is, I end up looking at my roster now and I go, there's a high chance I'm going to end up bottom of the league, but there's actually, and I saw it in some of the notes, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but like if some certain players on my team work out, like if Trevor Lawrence is good as advertised from year one, he might take a few years to go, but if for some reason he's a low end QB1 this year, which is in the realm of possibilities,
I think that's realistic.
And Allen is a top 2-3 quarterback. I mean, there's the potential to compete this year with a young roster, which was what ended up after round 2. I wasn't expecting Lawrence to be there in round 2, and then once that happened, it all just started laying out for me where I was like, I can kind of like build for the future and still have a chance for this year, which was something that I've never really done in too many dynasty leagues. I just drafted a football one in another league, a slow draft a couple months ago, and I started Lamar Jackson, I think at 5 or 6, and then it's a tight end premium with a full extra point of PPR for tight ends. So second round, I got Kelsey at pick.
Wow! Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
So
in a tight end
I ended
premium
up-
league to get Kelsey in the second, that is incredible.
And then with how it felt for quarterback, my second quarterback ended up being Tom Brady. So in that league, I'm really win now. So I almost hedged my bets a little bit as well, and kept this one as something that I've got a bright future for as well.
Right.
But
Oh man!
Sorry, we did this on the fly, but that's in your Discord, Harry. I sent you the link for that CBS draft that I'm comparing.
yeah, easy, cool, thank you.
Yeah, it should be in your
So
private.
that other one, that's 2 QB
That is-
and a tight end
it's
premium.
dynasty.
Super flex and tight end premium.
It's
It was
super.
tight end.
Oh, sorry, his.
Harry's other league
My other league was a tight end premium and super flex.
and super flex. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
So I can
With,
see. So that kind of makes a little more sense why Kelsey might be there, but still, with a full extra
so the tight end
PPR for a tight end,
He
Kelsey's
should have gone in the first.
great.
He should have been in the first round.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
a
tight
great
end.
start.
I've got Mark Andrews as well that I got in the 5th round. That's a flex for me there because he's going to outscore even good wide receivers flex with that extra point
sure.
of
2 PPR for a tight end. And you got Jackson throwing to that's incredible.
Yeah. I'm feeling good about that one win now. Long term, it'll be interesting. But I'm going to. I actually ended up trading. There was a lot more trades in that draft than there was in our one. Obviously, I don't think we had any in our start.
Not yet.
It went really fast though, which was nice for a change. So well done on that front, everyone. But I actually ended up trading down a couple of times, sort of mid of that draft, and wound up with another couple of picks for the next couple of years on top of my ones. So
Nice.
there is some hope.
What was the
for futures.
platform?
It's not completely win now.
Sorry, what was the platform?
It's on Sleeper. Yeah, it was my first time using Sleeper. I've always just gravitated towards Tracks because it's so easy for me to pay through there.
What were your thoughts
this
on
one
Sleeper?
was Sleeper
Oh,
and
sorry.
Team Stakes, so I could actually get in. I'm liking it so far, but I've never been in season for it. So
It's one of the best football ones out there.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. From the draft was nice and whatever.
So now that you got a chance, when you got a chance to pull that up, I messaged that to you.
I've got it. Yeah,
Well-
I'm in.
Okay. So the first round, what I had was the biggest differences were Nick Chubb was drafted at 6 overall. And in this league, with a similar setup, he was drafted at 22 overall. And Justin Herbert, was drafted 11 overall, and the CBS league had him at 6 overall. Now that you guys have a chance to kind of look at the first round, were there any values or non-values that you see?
Yeah, looking at the first round, it started off super standard to me in a super flex dynasty with the top 3 QBs going 1, 2, 3. The first pick that surprised me a little bit was Jonathan Taylor at 4. I like it. I think if he's your guy and you're going all in on him and he's got the years ahead of him, go get him, because he obviously wasn't going to be around for that team's second round pick. But looking at the industry mock, the CBS one, CMC, even though it's Superflex, still went 1. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'd take Patty Mahomes 1, Allen 2, and then the first time I'd actually think about CMC is probably at 3 between him and Kyler. But the fact that CMC went at 5, I think there's value even that early in the first round, because you draw 5 in the draft and you're thinking, I'm not going to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks, I'm not going to get CMC. But with that one flip of Jonathan Taylor jumping up a few picks, CMC just fell 5, and it was great value there, I reckon.
That's true. It's hard to say guys are a super value in the first round, but
yeah, it is.
Like, no matter the format, to get the consensus number 1 overall in pretty much every format, to get him at 5, that's like the guys that got Trout at 5 last year or whatever. You know, you don't expect it to happen, but or maybe Bieber. I think Bieber was like going 1 in a lot of baseball drafts. That's like landing him at 5 or 6 or whatever. You pretty much have to, even if you didn't plan on it. Even if you wanted to start quarterback in a league like this, once you get to 5 and McCaffrey's there, especially when you name your team Run CMC. But I don't think he did that until after he got it.
No, not yet.
I think most people change their names after the first pick.
I don't know the timing of the Taylor pick, because he lost one of his best offensive linemen within the last week.
I think it was right before that happened.
Okay, and I don't remember the exact.
We knew Wentz was down. Like we knew that Wentz was potentially not starting the year, but I don't think it was when that. I can't ever remember his name, but I know it's the left guard, and he's like the best left guard.
He's one of the best linemen.
Yeah, he's like the best pull guard in football. So I think probably if he could do it over. Who was that? Don?
But
probably
no, it was Run CMC was Sam.
No, Don, who took Taylor.
Oh, Taylor. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the Bulldogs. I think that's who that is. Oh, they're rolling the tarp out at Wrigley. Damn.
Oh, it's raining in Chicago?
Yeah.
I'm so shocked. Color me shocked.
The Chubb pick definitely stands out. Again, I never want to fully criticize anyone. So if it's your guy and you don't think they're going to be there at your next pick, then by all means, go and get them. I wonder if this was where Jonathan Taylor was penciled in this owner's mind. I can't see the owners here. I'm actually looking by team name in the draft results, and between that and the draft differences list. But whoever fully chubbed is now, I wonder if they had Jonathan Taylor penciled in there. They thought it was going to go Mahomes, Allen, Murray, McCaffrey, and then maybe another quarterback at 5. And then once Jonathan Taylor went at 4, they went next best running back in their mind, although there's still Barkley, Cook, Henry, Kamara that went behind Chubb. So I question it, but if it's your guy, go nuts, man.
Like, again, like you said about Taylor,
prove us all wrong.
Not going to be there. You know, if you want him, he's not going to be there in the second round. So get him if you want him. But that I thought that was really to see Taylor go before McCaffrey and then see Chubb go before like Cook and Kamara and Zeke and these guys. I thought that was pretty interesting. But and I think that's actually so the two interesting picks, interestingly enough, I think is Don and his son. I think fully Chubb is Cal. So both of those guys kind of taken not weird running backs, but maybe weird to the consensus. You know, that's really what we can say. Well, maybe, you know, Chubb could very well be the number 1 running back in the NFL. And so could Taylor still. He is that good. So, you know, this could –
you know, some of these guys may have never played in a super flex. This could be their first – and they don't realize. You know, we'll get to that, and I think later on, spoiler alert, with me judging your team, Allen, you saw how quickly the quarterbacks went, and you may have went your second quarterback earlier than you wanted to.
Oh, yeah, I reached on – So
yeah.
I mean, to stay in line with that, there were 7 quarterbacks, 7 taken in the first round, 7 quarterbacks, and then 5 running backs. So by the by the time it comes around to me, and then Burrow, who is who I would have been looking at there, who I really did want. And I did think about Lawrence, but I just don't know enough. I don't watch college football. I know he's supposed to be like a generational arm, but I think Mahomes is the generational arm of this generation, right? But Lawrence is supposed to be up there. But I did not want Rodgers this early. But I figure maybe he's going to really try to stick it up the Packers' ass, like he wants to get Devontae Adams paid. Devontae Adams is his boy. He's going to be a free agent. He wants to get him paid. So he's going to pepper Devontae Adams all year long. And he's going to try to win an MVP and then tell Green Bay to kiss his ass. So
and
it's like 37 or whatever. He's not a great dynasty quarterback. But if he can pair with Dak, if Dak can stay healthy and the Cowboys can be what they're supposed to be, I like the 1-2 punch I have, at least at quarterback.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any more thoughts? Go ahead.
It's hard to know with Rodgers. His ADP hasn't caught up to the fact that sort of job security has changed. Because originally in that other draft I did that finished probably over 3 weeks ago now, it was still up in the air what was happening with Rodgers, and I think he went around the 4th round. But it's hard to know now where his true ADP is because everyone's still catching up on where he's going to rank amongst all these other quarterbacks for this year and for a dynasty's context, and the fact that it's Superflex. So it's, and we'll get to the second round in a second. It did stand out to me a little bit in the early second round, but given all the context, I didn't hate it.
I look at the guys that went after him, and I don't. It's like I didn't know what to expect because I love Tannehill, but I didn't know in this format can I wait on him or is he going to be gone? Looking at 7 going in the first round and then 2 more going on the swing back to me, so you're at 9 quarterbacks in the first 15 picks. So I was worried, and I was looking at how long it was going to be before my next pick, and I was like seeing myself having to settle for Kirk Cousins or Baker Mayfield or Matt Ryan, and that's not how I wanted to go. So, yeah, I do think it was a reach, and I hope I don't regret it. And then I reached again. We'll get to it, but I reached again in the 3rd round. I just kind of went nuts in this draft, but I did want to touch on starting Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and really starting Herbert Burrow. I mean, it's hard to tell which one I like more, because if I was going to start a dynasty team and have 2 quarterbacks, both of those combos are ones that I would really like to have, and I really wanted to have Dak Burrow. I really wanted Dak Herbert. I was really disappointed when Herbert went right after because I thought I could wait. I don't have to take Herbert now. I can wait, and he'll still be there on my swing. Tony immediately takes him, which I should have known because we run a fucking team together. But I'm thinking about it. Of course he's going to take. He knows how much I like Herbert. I know how much he likes Herbert. It's a super flex. Why would I not think he's going to take him? But
it starts to get muddy after that first 3 quarterbacks. There's the 3 in the consensus. I took Lamar in the other draft I did, and people were telling me I should have taken Herbert at 5 or 6 wherever I was drafting, and I can see it. I like Herbert. He's definitely in that second tier. He's interchangeable almost with Jackson and Dak. It's probably the 3 I have in that tier. Maybe Russ, but I tend to not like quarterbacks that are.
You can see the downside with Herbert though. He really was spectacular, and to think that he's automatically going to be that good again is it's
a risk.
But we're talking dynasty
here.
Going forward, he's going to be a stud. He's shown that he can be an NFL quarterback. So, and
real quick,
say that Trevor Lawrence did because I guess I just don't know. I like the guys that have done it, kind of like baseball. Show me the guys that have done it against the elite competition. But Lawrence does seem like he's probably going to be fine year 1. Maybe they start benching week 1. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Harry, you've never used StreamYard before, right? Is this your first time using? Have you used StreamYard, the service where up in the top right corner it says private chat and comments? If you click on comments, I just wanted to let you know Jeff is live. So if you wanted a chance to say hi to Jeff, this is your
just wanted to personally say hi to Jeff from New
I
Zealand.
I feel like my teacher, just like a high school teacher or something, just explained something to me.
I didn't mean to put you on this. I'm sorry. I didn't figure that out until the third or fourth time with Alan. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you just click on comments and you can see the live comments."
Yeah, I was zoned in on me or whatever. I do see now. Jeff, said hi, Harry, and there apparently I thought there was a 2 up there. Now there's just the 1 person watching. We had 2 for a minute. I don't know who the other one was.
There's a demand.
We'll get up there.
Yeah.
So, anything with the first round before we close that up, guys?
No, I tend to agree with the best values by round by the CBS values. I think Herb's my favorite value, probably. Herb and CMC were my 2 favorite values, and then Chubb's probably my biggest reach.
Now, we've already discussed both of my best and worst values in round 2. Best value, which you both are probably seeing right now, was Trevor Lawrence. CBS had him at 11, and he was drafted last pick of the first round. 23. And then they also had Aaron Rodgers at 41, and he was drafted at 15. I think part of that might be, though, this draft took place in May, and there was a lot of uncertainty with Rodgers' contract at the time. So that might have been baked in, as we've discussed. Now, you guys looking at the second round, is there anything that stuck out to you in the second round?
Yeah, I've got a different biggest reach. The Rodgers one with the date of what that score was. I think it's still a reach, but not to that extent that it's given.
No, yeah.
I'm going to put and I know the top of the wide receiver pecking order is pretty murky, but I'd say Hopkins is probably my biggest reach out of this whole round. First, in the context that it's the first wide receiver off the board. He's a year older than Adams, and I think by this point, well, it was because Roger was drafted where he was. The Adams situation was cleared out. So if you want to win now, wide receiver, I would have probably gone Adams. And then if you want the best dynasty wide receiver, I mean, it's a toss up between Jefferson, Metcalf, Ridley, Adams, maybe Hopkins in that debate, or Tyreek Hill, who went about a round later than the Hopkins pick. So I just think that in terms of the wide receiver picking order, for him to be the first one off the board, imagine starting Cook and Kamara. That would have been so sick. Or Cook and Adams, I think I would have preferred a little bit more. But again, it's personal preference, and Hopkins could well be the number 1 wide receiver this year and make me sound silly. So it's the biggest reach to me, but it won't be the biggest reach to everyone in this round.
I kind of agree. Like in the second round, for me, the big reach is a wide receiver, but it's actually Jefferson, and I like Jefferson a lot. Like it'll be hard to find anybody that doesn't. But just for me, and even it being dynasty, I probably wouldn't have taken him over Ridley, Metcalf, Brown, Diggs, maybe Hill. I like Hill. He's a little bit older than all those guys, I think, but he's only 27, 28. But for a burner, wheels can break quickly for those guys. But I think they're pretty entertaining. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Side note, I don't like that Harry found this network. He's way too smart for us. I don't like this. The things that he said.
You want to be in leagues with good guys. I mean, it's
I agree. And he's going to be
on Yahoo for the bums and to take their money.
Yep.
These other leagues, you want to be in leagues with good guys. You sharpen your how's it go? Like you sharpen your iron on something tougher, or it doesn't get sharp. You want to be good against good competition.
I just want to echo kind of you guys' thoughts.
He is in baseball, and he sits here and he claims that they're like his third and fourth sport. So it's like, what do you?
Okay, I'd like to clarify. I don't want that to come off as a cocky statement. I sort of more meant to my view of baseball, where a lot of you guys grew up with the game. My view of baseball is purely from an analytical and fantasy context. I have no biases in terms of players or teams or even like views on how the game should be played, etc. So mine's coming from purely some trial and error for the last sort of 3-4 seasons, where I've decided that my best favorite way to go is to go pitches heavy and work out the lineup as it comes, and hopefully if it's a shallow league, pick up off waivers. If it's a deep league like this, maybe trade some guys that have the the hitters on their bench that they can afford to lose, or just hope to get lucky, which I did with Santana holding up all year and Jonathan Scope and stuff like that. So there's a bit of luck involved in my ABL run, and I'm definitely not trying to claim that I know the most out of baseball. It's probably bottom 25% of like pure baseball knowledge in this league. But yeah, in terms of fantasy, I maybe have a tiny bit of advantage over some people, just coming from a purely non-biased standpoint of looking at it as how am I going to win or get closest to winning in this league.
Because you don't have an attachment to a team.
Yeah. Like I follow the Phillies a little bit, but that's kind of about it.
I do want to echo you guys' sentiment, on the Hopkins thing. Like, I think Jefferson, Ridley, and all the rest of those, like Metcalf, even Tyreek maybe, like, I think those guys are in a tier above Hopkins in this
Tyreek fell, and I think that's what's sticking out to me in my eyes, and it's probably going to be my value pick from round 3, spoiler. Tyreek, I could see going the number 1 wide receiver off the board, Adams, Jefferson, if you've got someone who's super hot on him. But yeah, Hopkins just stood out a little bit, but again, he could prove me very silly if Murray takes a step forward with the passing game this year.
Any other comments you guys want to throw in more on round 2?
I just again on my Rodgers reach, it's kind of more my personal like fantasy philosophy. Like if this wasn't a super flex, of course I'm not going a quarterback in the first round, but say it wasn't and I went a running back, I always like to go if I'm starting running back, I want to make sure I can get a second stud running back in the set. I don't like to go running back wide receiver or quarterback wide receiver. I like to, if I'm going quarterback, and if I have to reach on the one, I'm reaching on the one. But that's not to say that I don't like Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson, and then of course he gets Najee Harris. This is Team Josh and Squibb, but like I just there's other receivers I would have had over Jefferson, and there's a lot of other players I would have had over Rodgers. I would like to have Dak and Kamara or Dak and Zeke go with the Cowboys stack, but with the super flex, I really wanted to lock down a second potential top 10 quarterback, and I felt like Rodgers was the guy to get there for me.
Yeah.
Anything more from you, Harry?
Nah, the second round, there's only a couple of players that stood out. I mean, Kelsey definitely needed to go by that point. There's just only so many difference makers at tight end. There's sort of two people when it comes to tight ends. There's I want a difference maker or I'll wait as long as possible. Yeah. And so Kelsey going there, even though it's not a premium league, I think he's the next 2, 3, 4 years still going to be a top 3 tight end. So it's going to return value. Kamara, I think, is decent value there. And yeah, that would probably be my last sort of thoughts for round 2.
Okay. And anything for you, Alan? More on round 2?
No, I think it's more like looking ahead. Like you love that Jeff was able to grab Kamara, like especially because he was able to grab Mixon with his next pick in round 3, and then he was still able to get a premium tight end in round 4. So it's more like I'm more looking at the teams as they go forward than the rounds as they go forward. I need to stop doing that. But
no, you're fine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like when I'm looking at the color coded Fantrax graph thing, so it's like really easy to break down. You see Sam 5, what is that, blue
running back.
Yeah, 5 running backs. You can see like how these guys stacked their teams, and it's really easy to see the way they went. And sitting here looking at it, I love Jeff's team. I love his team. He's got Kamara, Mixon, Carson. I don't want to get too far ahead. We'll go to round 3.
Yeah. Whoa, Alan.
Oh, that's fine. We'll go to the next round. For me, the third round, the biggest differences were Stephon Diggs was drafted at 31 overall, and CBS had him at 17. So pretty big value. I mean, that's 14 spots. Now I screwed up according to CBS because I drafted Antonio Gibson at 35 and CBS had him at 43.
And I think he's a guy whose ADP is only going up
until
the season starts.
Since May, it's gone.
Season, but he's going up, and you have to assume that Diggs ADP is probably first receiver off the board for them, right?
It's pretty close. I don't think he's
17.
first.
Maybe there's one gone before that, but
Jefferson was actually the first. Hold on. Yeah, Jefferson was their first wide receiver off the board at 13.
I've seen that. I've seen that in a few places. That's why the Jefferson pick in the second didn't surprise me. If anything, I thought he slipped a little bit.
Yeah, just because of in Thielen's age, Adam Thielen's not young by any means.
No, he's actually older than you kind of think he is.
Yeah. And Jefferson's got youth on his side. In an offense that shouldn't be horrible, with Cook still being relatively young. He's got that. Now, in the third round, what did you guys see there? Because I had Diggs and Gibson. Was there anything that stuck out to you?
Yeah, Diggs Hill in the middle of the third round, both pretty good values. The thing with wide receiver is the top half is so subjective in terms of whether you want the youth guys, whether you want the win now guys. You've got that stack of Adams, Hill, Diggs, Hopkins, who are sort of all win now, and then you've got the younger stack of Jefferson, Ridley, Metcalf, and Brown. So there's always going to be one of those 8 that falls, or 2 of those 8 in this situation. So I see them as values, but I'm also not surprised they fell to there, just because somebody had to out of that group, with the amount of preference people are going to put on running back because it's so thin in the early rounds, and quarterback because it's a super flex league. So they're probably, that middle of that round is probably where I really like the values. I feel for you a bit, Tony. I think as this round, and Alan actually, as this round got to its end, the sort of tier of players dropped off a bit. Once Diggs went, then wide receiver drops off a little bit to some more sort of unproven guys, and Lamb, although he's looking great, and then the older guys are like Allen and Cooper next to go, and Robinson. So it's a bit of a teardrop there at wide receiver, so you didn't have too many options to take. At wide receiver, the running backs had been going hot and heavy fast, so they'd sort of dropped off. And then quarterbacks as well, the tier had well dropped off after Rodgers for win now and Lawrence for sort of a youth one. So, yeah, the bottom of the third round is a tricky place. Definitely glad I wasn't there. So well done, you guys, deciding what to do with that slot.
Well, and myself, my pick is my reach of the round. I went reach in 2 and 3, and my Kyle Pitts pick was more about this is like the 12th or 13th league I had already done that I'm playing out on the year, and so far I had 0 Pitts shares because I just don't know. Again, it's like kind of the Trevor Lawrence thing. I don't watch enough college football. I don't know how dominant this guy is, but everything you read talks about how much this kid can be. Yeah, and Matt Ryan loves his tight ends, et cetera, et cetera. And and like you were just saying, Harry, the tiers kind of disintegrated. And what you don't want to be is, the top of the next tier. You don't necessarily – I like to be at the end of the tiers if I can be, and watching them fall apart in front of me. I was just kind of left sitting there not knowing nobody looked good. Already in the third round, nobody looked good. So I said, what the hell? It's dynasty. This guy could be a league winner potentially. If he's as good as people think he can be, he could be a league winner for the next X amount of years. I'll get a little nuts, and I just took the super old quarterback. I'll take the rookie tight end, and I don't see how you can't say that's the biggest reach of the round, because he could easily bust, and I'm left with a 0 in round 3. I think the value.
Well, he wasn't the biggest reach.
Go ahead.
He wasn't the biggest reach, though.
You don't think? Oh, well, no. Yeah, I mean, according to CBS, he wasn't. But the way this is just me looking at it. I'm saying that I think he was the biggest reach. I mean, maybe he's probably going in the 4th if he doesn't go in the 3rd. When you look at Kittle and Waller going, if those guys were set on going tight end, one of them's probably going Pitts. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I don't know that I thought he was going to last to me. And I didn't like who was left. The guys I really wanted, I watched disappear in front of me. I was really hoping Mixon would last to me. And Dwight did snake me on Edwards-Helaire. He was how I wanted to start my running backs, and then I had to completely change up, and I didn't take a running back till round 7. But the best value, I think, is A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown has just as good a shot at being wide receiver 1 overall as anybody else in the NFL, and that's with the addition of Julio. I think that helps Brown more than it hurts him. And he could be number 1. He's a top 5 receiver for the next, if he stays healthy, 7 or 8 years. A.J. Brown is like Hall of Fame talent worthy, just on his efficiency and stuff very early on, of course. But A.J. Brown is a super stud, and to get him in the 3rd, I like that a lot. No matter where it was in the 3rd, I like it a lot. I'm super high on A.J. Brown. I didn't think he was going to last to me. I thought there was no chance he was going to last to me to my pick in the 3rd. But yeah, Harry was exactly right. Both you and I, Tony, you kind of started, if you look the way the draft went, it went Gibson, Fields, and then it swings around and 2 more running backs and then 3 more later in the 4th. You did kind of kick off that next tier of running backs.
And I like Gibson because, number 1, you've got a veteran quarterback there in Fitzpatrick who he could check down to him, and they might rely on the run more because who knows what they're going to do. But I don't want to get wrapped up in my team so much. Do you guys have anything else with that 3rd round?
I don't think so.
I think it's good.
I do. I think Fields in the 3rd round is one that I question a little bit. I would have rather as I see several quarterbacks.
But
I personally, and maybe this is an anti-Bears bias. I hate the Bears. Maybe I don't know enough about Justin Fields. But
and Harry, I don't think was looking at the screen when I popped up this Bears. But Vince is a huge Bears fan, as am I. I expected Fields to last to the next pick before Vince picked him.
Right.
But Vince, with me, we both follow the same Bears beat writers. Fields will probably start week 1. This might be a surprise from you. Yes. Fields will probably start week 1.
All right.
Dalton and whoever else is there is just there to kind of guide the guy through. Fields is the long-term solution. And I think he starts week 1. One of my bold predictions. Fields will start week 1.
All right.
Just because. Go ahead.
Looking at how it fell now, the start was Russ and Derrick Henry, so pretty solidly going, I want to compete this year. And then I'm wondering if it's just the case of being back in the 3rd round. It's just not a good spot to be in dynasty setups this year because he was probably hoping one of like Eckler, Mixon, Diggs, Hill fell, and he can just go, man, a start of Wilson, Henry, Hill, or Wilson, Henry, Mixon, Wilson, Henry, nice. Eckler would be so nice. And then when they went, I just feel so sorry for all you 3 teams at the bottom of this end of this round because when CEH went to Delvin Cook at that pick 3-9, it just teardrops at every position. It's just tough. Now looking back at it, I'm like, damn, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Yeah,
I just don't know. It was not a fun spot to be.
I shouldn't criticize the Fields too much because it looks like he's probably doing the same thing I did with Pitts. It very well could be like nobody looks good here. I'm just going to take the young guy I want.
I didn't say this in my write-ups or anything, but I think Fields is the best quarterback in this class. No offense to Trevor Lawrence or anything, but I think Fields could prove to be the best quarterback in this class. Side story on that is Fields and Lawrence fought, I think it was like Georgia, where they're both from. Like they were 1 and 1B, 1A and 1B like throughout their whole career. And I think Fields really wanted to go to Clemson. That was one of like his dream schools, and Lawrence went there. It was just Lawrence was always just a step above him and stuff like that. And then Fields went to, I forget where he went. I know he went to Ohio State in the end, but like he's always been. Go ahead.
I'm just judging my personal history of, which is also your personal history of Chicago Bears quarterbacks.
Hey, on that note, I'm getting my second beer, so go ahead.
I mean, it's just I don't, I spent most of my life about 2 hours south of Chicago, so I was inundated with Cubs bullshit and Bears bullshit my entire life, and I'm just so sick of those teams and their fans. It's hard for me. I love Allen Robinson, and then he goes to the Bears, and it's kind of like, oh.
I didn't get a second Foster's, by the way, Harry. Sorry. So I got 2 Fosters.
It's Australian for beer is what that is.
Yeah.
Chicago Bears is in the bottom tier of cool uniforms in the league. I'm sorry, Sonny.
Sorry.
No, I agree. Yeah, the Cubs, it's the C. What is it with the C? Like they love people from Chicago.
The color scheme to me, it's not slick. It's just a little bit.
And I bought this bullshit hat too, and I don't even like this goddamn logo, the new logo they, sold this little bee. I don't even like it, to be honest.
That's the Cubs?
No, Bears.
Oh, Bears. Okay.
This is the Bears. Sorry.
Yeah, well, 1920, they were from Decatur, Illinois, right? They were the Decatur Saley before they were the Bears. Yeah.
So, 4th round, I'm going to give my picks real quick and then let you guys do that. And I've got something I got to do for a minute or two. So I had the 4th round, I had DeAndre Swift. CBS had him at 18, and he was drafted at 37. So that goes back to Vince, who picked Fields, but then got an amazing value, according to CBS, with DeAndre Swift. And then Keenan Allen, CBS had 73, and he was drafted in our league at 42.
I'm surprised CBS is that low on Keenan Allen, honestly.
And probably my guess is with these dynasty startups, they tend to lean more towards the youth. Yeah, the younger guys than the solid, productive. You know what you're going to get with Keenan Allen. You know what it is. But a lot of this is more on promise and youth and upside. Sure. So if you guys want to discuss that for a couple minutes, I'll be right back. Those were the ones that CBS had. Whatever you guys had, go ahead, and I'll be right back.
Well, I do love the Swift pick to start the 4th, and even though I was just kind of crapping on the Fields, it's a nice start going Wilson, Fields, and Henry Swift. That's pretty stacked. It's a little confusing, but it's pretty stacked at 2 positions. I mean, he's going to be obviously weak at wide receiver. But
I only say confusing because it's the young and old.
A little bit.
The spectrum mega mixed, which can work because as one's coming off and you either sell them or they retire or whatever happens, you've got one already ready to take their slot on your roster as the QB1, as the next RB1. So you've got those positions sort of in a different way of handcuffed. But yeah, it's always just confusing to me. I kind of like to pick a lane and stick with it. I don't seem to like my teams when I go dipping in both baskets. I mean, later on, like post round 6, 7, it starts to make less differences to your overall roster. But if you take and Herbert didn't slip one more picks, but if for some chance Herbert slipped one more pick and it was Herbert and then Burrow, and then he could have done Swift in the 3rd round and then maybe grabbed CeeDee Lamb as his start of his 4th round pick, like that would be a dream, like youth build. And then if he wanted to go, I guess if you wanted to go win now, what were the next best options? Yeah, I guess I don't really super love the win now options for where he was taking Fields and Swift, and that just goes back to my hate for the end of the 3rd round again. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's a nice start. It's just a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's a little weird for Dynasty, but for now. Yeah. Like you just said, there's not a whole lot of other ways. Yeah, there's only so many ways he could have went, and that was tough being stuck at the end of that. I think maybe Jacobs, and I I never know how serious to take what Sam is saying. I don't know if he what was it that was he not there and he got autoed Jacobs and Montgomery, or did he take them because of
cornering the market?
And I think that Harry hit it right on the head there. I think he wanted to corner the market with running backs. Sam's someone that I think might play on a different level than most of us think. I think he really had like a queue set up, and I don't think he unintentionally drafted the team he did. Running back heavy. He seems to be the type of guy that would zig instead of zag. Not all of us were loading up on running backs, and he saw a market that he could have loaded up on running backs.
Well, I mean, it's a super flex, and his first quarterback was Carson Wentz, so that's going to sting. I mean, that's going to come back to bite a little bit. Like, yeah, he does have the running backs loaded up. That is very true. But
maybe Sam's a neighbor of mine. Sam might be a neighbor of mine because I live in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Carson Wentz is from Bismarck, I believe, and went to college at NDSU, which is in Fargo. And they think Carson Wentz is higher than any quarterback in the league up here. Like, Carson Wentz is
the rest of us know that's just not true.
Yeah, it's not true. It's not true at all. So did you guys have anything else on round 4? I was listening a little bit, but do you have anything else on round 4?
I think Harry's grab, this was another piece of him. This was the second piece of him going with a rookie. With Etienne, like I don't think anybody really knows 100%. Anybody that says they know what to expect out of the Jags backfield, even right now, is lying to you. Nobody knows what's going on. They could very easily
new coaching staff too. Is it Urban Meyer down there? Yeah.
Yeah, and Etienne catches the ball. This could very well be a when the Falcons had Tevin Coleman and Devontae
Freeman. Yep.
Yeah, well, him running the ball and Coleman good for a ton of catches and stuff like that. Like maybe that's how year 1 with these guys goes. Or maybe Etienne is great in camp and James Robinson is relegated to that kind of the Tariq Cohen role. If that's what you want to be with it. Or and who was the guy with the Chiefs? I don't remember who the hell it was. But you know the kind of guy I'm talking about. The guy that he's valuable, especially in a league like this. And then going forward, he's obviously extremely valuable. But it was just another, like Harry said, he picks a lane and he goes in it. The lane for this one clearly was young guys at the skill positions, and he went with that for a while.
Definitely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just definitely.
I was just going to transition into the 5th round. Sorry, with the Carson Wentz thing. Trey Lance, another North Dakota State quarterback. I don't love him, but I live in North Dakota, so I have to talk about him. I think Trey Lance is going to be a huge bust. Sorry, that's just me personally. We'll get to that later. Trey Lance was CBS 36, drafted at 49. So he was the biggest value. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, I think this was your father, Al. He was drafted.
He wanted to make sure to have 2 QBs. It was like
what you needed to do. Yeah, it was running thin. He drafted them at 53.
And he doesn't like the guys that he doesn't like, and he has this thing with Cousins. I don't know what it is. He likes Kirk Cousins.
He's solid. Solid.
Yeah, but he has no ceiling. He has no ceiling.
Yeah, he doesn't. No.
He's just white bread.
He's thrown a Jefferson and Thielen this year, and he's got Cook in his backfield. He should be pretty much.
He's got Earl too.
Last year.
Yeah,
so as
really
a win now
should be,
piece,
you know?
I'm fine with it. I agree. The years are numbered and the ceiling is going to decline over time. But given the context of the quarterback options, and I mean, gosh, if you're going to go Cousins, you could almost make the case for Brady. But
Yeah,
that's
go
personal
Brady.
preference.
Go
Hold on,
Brady.
I'm not the greatest with remembering Snake. So Cousins was before Baker. I just had to do like my little finger back around. Cousins went before Baker.
And then Baker and then Hawkinson. Yeah.
But I did want to say there was a star in this round. I drafted Darrell Henderson at 59. In the original CBS mock, he was 150. Now, at the time of the CBS mock, Cam Akers was the starter. You know, there was no, I forget what it was, hamstring, Achilles, whatever. That was the other pick that the CBS drafted, because Henderson wasn't.
Did you take Henderson because you saw him there and he looked like such a value, or did you plan on going 3 or 4 straight running backs?
Well, 3 or 4, both. I felt Henderson was a value because Cam Akers in this original startup draft went so high. I knew I could get Darrell Henderson's handcuff very cheap. His handcuff in my eyes. So I targeted Darrell Henderson in this draft because of the Cam Akers injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's just a single.
If you wanted a running back,
what?
Did Chris Carson cross your mind if you wanted a running back at that slot? You don't injury just not high enough?
Personal opinion, I view like Seattle's backfield the same as the Patriots' backfield. It's just people throwing darts, blah, 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 blah. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I'm
probably wrong, but they don't. I try to target teams that I think use a bell cow running back. Like the Steelers. Every single time the Steelers have a starting running back, that guy's the starting running back. He's going to get 20 touches a game. Now, with Bill Belichick, whoever is the hot hand, he's going to use. And I think the same way of Pete Carroll. Whoever's the hot hand, he's going to use. He's not going to say, okay, this guy's my bell cow, and I'm going to use him weeks 1 through 18. That's just my opinion. Go ahead and discuss.
No, I just obviously the CBS mock is going to be way behind them because Akers wasn't injured at this point. I'm not sure 5th round of Henderson, but given Montgomery had gone, I think I'd be Carson Davis. But
I get it.
But it's not far off.
No, I don't. Any thoughts, Alan, on this round?
No, I don't know. It comes back again to not watching enough college ball and stuff. I don't know. Like I know guys that I listen to on pods and stuff are really high on Jamar Chase. I don't know. I mean, Harry wanted to stick with the young guys. Did you think about Higgins over Chase at all?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to just think back to where I was at that point. I thought Lance, maybe, but again, I'm kind of on Tony's side with that. Out of all the quarterbacks, and I knew I'd get Wilson later because out of the 4 rookie quarterbacks, Wilson's the one that's getting pushed down because people don't trust the Jets, and fair enough. But I knew I'd get Wilson later. Yeah, but he's gonna have a role at least this year, probably next couple. Lance, I don't know. And then is San Francisco going to be a team going forward that can have a top 5, top 6 quarterback? Because that's what the potential is being drafted on by drafting a rookie quarterback that high.
It feels like they're going to be good, but I'm one of the people that I don't get the 49ers. I don't get the love for them. I guess I'm lower on Debo than most people. I'm lower on Ayuk than most people. but weirdly enough, I'm a little bit higher on Mostert, I think, than most people. But I don't get the 49er offense.
Yeah, Chase, I guess if nothing else, when I was making my picks, I was looking young, but I was also looking at like who's still going to have hype, even if they get off to a slow start. And I think Chase is going to. And then T. Higgins, I think the love's still piling on for him. I mean, there's a report literally I saw today where people said he was looking like Megatron out there. So, yeah, maybe I missed the boat on that one. Maybe Higgins might have been one I could have considered at that spot.
No, I was just looking at the guys that went after Chase. It's not a great list of the few guys that went after him, and then the few guys that went. If you're going young, Lockett and Evans are going to be out, and Cooper's going to be out.
Moore would be Moore, Higgins, Smith would be the other options if I wanted to.
Right, yeah, that's just why I said well, did you know you wanted to go like Jamar Chase there? Because I don't know a ton. Was he a Clemson guy or an Alabama guy?
Yeah, so he played with Burrow, so there's a bit of chemistry that baked into it. He didn't play last season; he sat out, so it's hard to know. But he was killed it the year before. Yeah, I don't know. I'd made my mind up at this point about you.
Yeah. And they spent a very high draft pick on Jamar Chase.
Well, yeah, Tony, you and I had talked. Like we were pretty high on in our dynasty, we were talking about being high on the Bengals, like the Bengals young guys. Not a great offensive line, but really, really nice at the skill positions. Really young everywhere, especially after getting rid of AJ Green. Just looking really good for the future. And I just don't know a ton about Chase to. So, Boyd really fell off. If you look at drafts last year, Tyler Boyd was going in the 4th, 5th round in a lot of leagues, and now he's not talked about at all on that Bengal team anymore.
This is the second year in a row, I believe. Who was their first-round pick, the Bengals, I think the year before? I want to say it was a wide receiver again. Who's their other young wide receiver besides Boyd, Chase, Higgins? Higgins was a first-round pick last year.
Yeah.
So, the Bengals going back-to-back years with Higgins and Chase.
They're getting Joe Burrow guys to throw to.
Yeah. They want identity on offense, and it's going to be the passing game.
Yeah.
Now we're on to round sorry, do you guys have anything else on round 5?
Not really.
Round 6, we had Chris Carson, who was aforementioned with you guys. It looks like he was one of the biggest values. CBS had him at 50. He was drafted at 65. Then we had Trey Sermon, who was drafted at 62, and he was valued at 93. We also had Cam Akers, who was drafted at 71, but valued at 27. Now, that could be some good.
The Akers pick.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I hate.
Oh no, that's fine.
This was post-injury, so I get grabbing him and stashing him, but the people that have come back from this injury, and I mean, gosh,
that's tough.
I feel like you could have drafted and stashed him in the 9th, 10th, 11th. But
it felt a little early. It did. I knew what they were going for. It's obvious, but it did feel a little early in the 6th round.
Yeah,
I agree. But I just wanted to star that one out because it was different with the CBS. Now,
yes.
And I kind of starred those out with the CBS because, you had the Henderson, the Akers, and later we'll see the Thomas and Jones ones.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to jump too far ahead, but I think that's the interesting correlation is Akers, and Thomas isn't even out for the year. I mean, he's freaking out lately. He seems to be off his lately.
He's off his rocker. I want he might not play another down for the Saints. And that's crazy. But with I saw reports out there that the Saints coaches reached out to Michael Thomas and dude never responded. But sorry, that's further on down the road. Let's keep it there.
It's just kind of like drawing the comparison of taking Akers in the 6th, and he is out for the year. And then I was able to wait until the 10th, and I could have maybe even waited a little longer, it felt like. But I saw him sitting there. It's like somebody's going to snap him up eventually. He's not out for the whole year. He's going to be around for the playoffs for somebody. I'm going to go ahead and grab him. That feels like the range to take Akers in, at least.
If Akers played any other position and was out for the year, then I get the 6th round draft and stash.
It's the running.
Highly touted in that position, but it's the combination of injury and the fact he's a running back. I wasn't taking him until 17th round, maybe 18th round, but that's me.
Now we all say this, and then next year Akers is going to be running back 1 and look like a star.
Oh, yeah. And with every one of my statements, I'm happy to be proven wrong and look like It's a part of giving your opinion, I think, is
for sure.
Something you say.
We're putting this out there.
At some point.
Yeah.
Totally. I wasn't
anything else?
to spend that capital.
I know I'm trying to rush through these round ones because I want to get to the team grades. Is there anything else you guys see in round 6?
Well, it's kind of the end of the line for a group of quarterbacks with Brady and then Tua going. I quite like the Zach Wilson pick. I think he in a format like this is pretty I don't know about underrated, but just kind of not a name that gets. You look at all the quarterbacks that went after him, but going forward, I don't see a single one except maybe, and it's a long shot, Daniel Jones, maybe turns out better than Zach Wilson. I'm not a Darnold, Goff, or a Carr, or a Ben, or a Fitzpatrick fan. Wentz could be out
Zach
for 12
Wilson's
weeks.
guy, right?
Sorry?
Zach Wilson is the guy.
Yeah.
He's they traded away Darnold.
I don't know who the hell it is.
Yeah. Like, they invested a lot.
I haven't even looked at the depth chart.
But Darnold's not there. Like, someone's got to start. It doesn't matter if it's a shitty team or not. He's going to put up points as a quarterback.
Third quarterback. That's the thing. He has 3 super young quarterbacks. That's like part of the thing is that he gets him now at a time that you look at the players going around him, and there's nothing special jumping off the page like that. Oh, he could have had Ayuk instead of Zach Wilson, or he could have had Miles. He did take Miles Gaskins. He could have had him instead. So that makes me like that he already had taken Allen and Lawrence. So it's a super flex. He's got super young, awesome quarterback, super young, potentially awesome rookie quarterback, and then grabs another starting rookie quarterback within the first 10 rounds in a chunk of the draft where there's not a whole lot else going on there. I quite like the Zach Wilson pick.
One real quick thing before Harry gives his thing. Garbage time counts the same as first quarter stat. Zach Wilson's
on his bye or something.
Zach Wilson's stats in the fourth quarter will count the same as someone else's stats in the first quarter.
That's right.
Like, the Jets may suck, they might, but that means that Zach Wilson's
going to be one of the worst.
A lot of garbage time stats. Yeah, so I just want to set it to Harry before he talks about the Zach Wilson pick. Now, if you want to, go ahead, expand on that.
My draft at this point is pretty cut and dry. I went youth. He was one of the better youth options on the board for me. I don't like just rolling with 2 quarterbacks and then hoping they both stay healthy, because we know in reality a lot of them will go down at some point. And miss games, miss weeks, resting maybe. Allen gets rested last couple of weeks of the season if Buffalo are by far and away top seed, and so I might need a second quarterback if I'm in the hunt there, and Wilson will play, kind of like your garbage time theory, but talking about games rather than multiple games rather than one game. So yeah, it kind of made sense. In this round as a whole, really unfortunately don't like the Cam Akers pick. I think Mark Andrews, for the fact that it's a end of a tier at tight end. It's the last sort of reliable, as close to guaranteed option you can get for production at tight end 1. before Fant's got some helium, but he's not sort of guaranteed, and then it really drops off from there. So if you do want a tight end, I like grabbing Andrews in the 6th rather than committing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round capital to get one of the guys that's only sort of slightly ahead of him. I like Carson, but that's just a personal preference. I think he just drops because he's an unexciting pick, or people have concerns about the backfield or health, which are warranted, and that's why he slips. But I do like the value in the 6th round to get someone that could be a high-end RB2.
He's probably going to be top 12. He's always top 12. He's like super quietly always top 12 or top 15 or something. Like he's never flashy, but he plays, and kind of contrary to Tony's Pete Carroll theory, he does kind of bell when he's healthy. He bell cows a little bit. Look at his overall. He's consistently top 12, 13. I think 3 of the last 4 years.
We all have our personal biases, okay?
Sure.
I'm not going to say it, but I'm still pissed at Pete Carroll for running up the score against the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Rose Bowl. Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. That was a pro team with that Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and blah. It was the Orange Bowl or Rose Bowl, whatever. We all hold our grudges. So Pete Carroll has a special spot in my heart for a grudge. Yeah. So I'm going to that. That's my personal bias getting in the way. We all have them. I'm fully. Yeah, I hate the guy, and I hope he coaches JUCO next year. But we'll move on.
Should we combine the last rounds all together and just go some over?
Yeah, that's fine. So that way we can get to the team grade. I'm very excited about going through the team grade stuff.
Cool. Yeah, let's wrap this section up then.
Yeah, right now we're at round 7 through 12. Is there anything that jumps out to you guys?
Well, I mean, if through the first 6 rounds.
How about this? I'll give you guys some time to look over, and I'm going to tell you what jumps out with my document.
Okay.
So you can look at it. The biggest differences I saw in this round was the Michael Thomas pick in round 10. He went off the board at 40, and he got picked at 111. But that was kind of caked in with the injury. The same thing with we had Jones. I'm trying to think who drafted him in the 11th round. Jones. There's some Jones drafted late, and I think that
Xavier Jones was
Xavier Jones. That was me, yeah. And he went undrafted in the CBS league, but he went drafted for me. Because I believe Xavier Jones is the second running back to Darrell Henderson. So that was part of that. Another one that jumped off the board was Mike Gesicki. CBS had him at 174. He was drafted at 121. Now, I think this gets back kind of to the thing where Harry and you have both talked about, Alan, where the tier. Gesicki, when he was drafted, he may have been the bottom part of that tier of tight end, and someone felt they needed to get that tight end.
Yeah, it was me. I took Gesicki. He was one that fit my criteria. He was sort of 25, got a lot of his career ahead of him. And a bit of a drop-off in tier. The next couple of rounds, the Irv Smith, Jono Smith, Rob Gronkowski, Frymouth, sort of next 4 or 5 off the board. Yeah, I just didn't like I hadn't got a tight end yet. I didn't like where it was going. I wanted one sort of chance to fill my tight end for the next couple of years. If he doesn't end up being decent enough, then there'll be somewhere I heavily target in trades and future drafts if I do stink this year and get a high draft pick. Apparently the 2022 class, one of the ones things it does have is some decent tight ends. So at round 11, it was less about ADP and more about filling having someone in that tight end hole that I have some faith in producing, I guess.
The biggest gains that I'm seeing in this round, this group of rounds, Tony Pollard went at 144 and he was drafted at 117. Like, that just jumps off the page to me.
Mm.
Who knows how healthy Zeke's going to be? That is one of the premier handcuffs, I think, with Tony Pollard.
Mm.
Like, if Zeke tears an ACL, God forbid, I don't want to wish injury on anyone, but,
Well, we've seen it this time before. We've seen it happen, and that's how we know that Pollard is a good NFL runner. It's kind of the same thing with Alexander Madison to Dalvin Cook. Like, we've seen him perform, and we know he can do it. I'm not following the snake, but I think Pollard had to probably start that round.
Yeah.
Side note,
it's an even round. It'll be the ends. So
yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Side note, with Tony Pollard and the Cowboys, it's not like we think Jerry Jones is on level ground, so to speak. Okay. Ezekiel Elliott could blow out an ACL in week 2 or 3. Tony Pollard leads that team to the playoffs. Ezekiel Elliott might not be a Cowboy the next year.
Yeah, decides they don't want to pay him anymore.
I don't want to – I'm not a throw out, like, worst-case scenario, but that pick could very well pay off.
I like the taking – if you look at, like, the second half of my draft, I'm clearly a fan of taking some handcuffs that aren't necessarily handcuffs to my running backs, because I'm the guy that takes –
we had this discussion.
Yeah, I take Latavius Murray. I have Madison. I have Malcolm Brown. I have the handcuffs to Gaskin. I have Joshua Kelly, who might be the goal line guy, or the handcuff to Austin Eckler. So like, I started really late with my running backs through 6 rounds. It was just me and Cleveland Mark were the only 2 teams that did not have a running back through 6 rounds. And I decided to kind of just wait a little bit and take these guys that, and maybe eventually they get a team of their own through free agency in a year or 2 or whatever it is. I'm not familiar with everybody's contracts and stuff, kind of the way I am with baseball. But maybe one of these guys steps up and becomes a starter for a little bit. But Pollard was a guy that I thought would maybe last even a little longer, just like the way the drafts were shaping up. And then you can see round 12, a lot of running backs went in that round, and then 4 more in round 13. So my thought process was not correct.
Harry, any thoughts?
Yeah. A lot of handcuffs / second running backs went in that round 12 with Pollard, Hines, McKissick, Booker, Drake. So they're all sort of a lot of them sort of group into one for me. I think Booker's just as likely to get time as Pollard is, with Barkley there coming off that injury. But yeah, I think from here, I mean, really, you're still going to have to round out your team past round 8, and it's important because you got to take some good. But people really just start to fill out their rosters rather than religiously following sort of best value or ADP. So I think that the action really happens in the first 7 rounds, especially in Superflex, where that pretty much by end of round 7, 8 in this one, all the guaranteed starting quarterbacks are gone. Andy Dalton in round 10, yeah, he'll get a couple of games this year, but after that, I think he's nothing more than a backup. So I don't know. Again, it's filling his 3rd quarterback, but I didn't like it.
So. Harry, I'm going to show you how many games Andy Dalton starts for the Bears. Right there.
Yeah, and then what's next for him, right? So it's like spending a round 10 pick for someone who might be off your roster next year. So
yeah, 10 doesn't feel like a high pick. But you look at the other guys going in round 10. Dalton looks. You don't want to say it's a wasted pick, but there was a lot of other talent in round 10, round 11 that you probably would have rather spent a pick on, especially if Andy ends up starting 0 games. But even if he gives you 1 or 2, you're not starting him over Daniel Jones or Tom Brady. So he probably won't even start him in the games that he starts.
Fully expecting the Bears' ineptitude, Andy Dalton will start 16 games just because the Bears step it up.
If he starts the first one and he wins the first one, he probably gets the second one. And then if he wins the second one, he's probably getting the third. And
who do they start their season with?
If he's
who do they start the season with?
No,
are you
facing the schedule?
Oh, the Rams. Sunday Night Football.
Ooh.
The Rams. Yeah, I know. That's why I say just throw Justin Fields to the Tigers. But the Rams. Like the Rams having a pretty good defense. Like
they'll let Andy get his ass kicked by the Rams, and then that'll be the excuse to start Fields week 2.
Just let Justin Fields Sunday Night Football. This is a primetime game. Week 1. Yeah. I've looked ahead to this because I've told Alan, and I don't know if you saw this, Harry, but I'm going to be in Mexico in week 1. I'm flying out. I'm flying out for a week-long vacation at the resort, and the Bears play Sunday Night Football. Just start Justin Fields. You put all this into him. All right, that's side note. Whatever, we'll move on. This is not a Bears podcast. This is
So one thing I want to remember before I forget. I wanted to point out Harry's 8, 9, and 10 because I feel like value wise, that's probably the best string of picks, maybe in the entire draft, with Jerry Jeudy and then Deontay Johnson and then Courtland Sutton in the 10th. That's basically the type of receiving core I wanted to build when I went 3 straight receivers in 4, 5, and 6. But if I could have waited 3 rounds to kick that off, I wouldn't have waited to take a running back in the 7th. Like Harry built the team that I wanted to build, but that I just couldn't really. Like clearly there was some places where I tried to draft them. It's just how it fell. But that 8, 9, and 10 of those 3 receivers, those are guys that, especially going forward, maybe not this year, but going forward, could be 3 premium receivers, especially if the Broncos ever get like a real quarterback while those 2 guys are still there. Could be 3 premium receivers that you got at 8, 9, and 10.
And other news to everyone in the Football League, Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, and Courtland Sutton are on the blocks. And just going, what are you talking about my players?
Side note, though, with that, I want to point out Mark Cleveland did this twice, okay? He did this he did the Zach Moss, Devin Single. Oh, sorry. I'm getting some back. Are we good?
For me. Yeah.
He did the Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. Then he followed it up in whatever round it was, and he got Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater.
14 and 15.
Yeah. Now, you say Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and you're like, well, who cares? But those are the 2 guys who are battling to throw to Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, KJ Hamler, on and on and on. Like the Broncos have some young.
Tim Patrick.
What?
2020 phenomenon. Tim Patrick. He won me. Because I picked him up off waivers because everyone went down injured.
Yeah. And hold on, we haven't even mentioned this. Spoiler alert. Noah Fant, the new tight end 1 after Travis Kelce retires. That's going to be mentioned, but
Harry did say earlier that he does have some helium, and that is 100%, especially recently. The last couple
Noah Fant
really picked up.
Noah Fant is the best tight end to come out of Iowa, better than Kittle and Hawkinson.
Man, Hawkinson looks like a fucking nutcase. Have you seen him? His hair's like he's got super long hair and a beard.
He's Iowa farm boy. Oh, sorry.
He didn't even look like the same person, man. He looks like
he's Iowa farm boy.
Yeah, he lived on the farm for like the off season and just didn't shave or cut his hair.
I hope he didn't bore Harry and he's coming back.
Nah, he's good. He's coming back. I do want to it was round 13 that we saw the last like real starting running back go in David Johnson. Like, yeah, granted, it's David Johnson. He's made of glass. It's the Texans, but he still is a starting running back, and he still did last until round 13. So that's pretty impressive for Dwight. To grab a starting running back that late. And I wanted to say real quick about Cleveland Mark while we were talking about him. Cleveland Mark, you might look at the Indians in the ABL and see that the Indians are 1-3 or whatever. Mark is sharp. He drafted a very good football team, and he's how I got into the hockey dynasty league. I'm sure he's going to be very sharp in that. Mark is not a slouch just because the Indians have sucked this year.
He knows
Mark is not a slouch by any means.
Welcome back, Harry. I was kind of concerned.
Sorry, I was getting my charger because we're getting 3 voices on this and 3 different minds. We're chatting for a while, which I love, but I was running out of laptop juice. There's not many slouches in the ABL. There's one I can think of, so I won't add, but that's for different reasons.
Hey, there's one I can think of too, but we all know who I think of, so we'll continue. Let's go on to, I did the, Harry, what division are you in? East, Central, or West? I know you're not.
You know what? I don't know who's in my division either.
It's me, you, and I think the Suns, father-son.
Oh, yeah, it is. Down in Cal, yeah.
And Harry?
I am.
Are you in the Central?
He's in the East.
But let's do the Central. Let's start the Central first and then build up to ours. So you guys saw my draft grade, so we'll start with the Central. Let me scroll down here to see who I have for the first team. Oh, it's Memphis. So it is the aforementioned Mark Indians.
And it's hard not to like him.
What?
It's hard not to like him. I mean, when you get to start your draft with Mahomes in a super flex, you know straight away you're starting off hot, but then he rounds it out with he's got 3 really great receivers and a good second quarterback and potentially a top 5 tight end. Mark's got a nice team.
Now, to show you how I looked at this, I went to team roster chart. So when you go to team, and it says roster chart, and then it just shows you the depth chart, more or less. That's how I looked at it. Okay? So I didn't look at it as I didn't look at it as round by round. I looked at it as position by position.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, this is nice.
So I'm just going to go through position by position. For Mark, I had the quarterbacks as an A+. I had Mahomes, Stafford, and the Denver quarterback stack. You have top-end talent with Mahomes. Stafford is very safe, and I think he excels with the Rams with all their picks. And then you also lock up a third quarterback for your bye weeks with Bridgewater and Lott in back-to-back rounds.
I disagree.
Yeah.
With his running backs
is the only 2 grades you could give this.
Yeah. With the running backs, I gave him a B- C+. So outside of the Bills situation where he locked up Singletary and Moss, I'm not that huge on what the rest of his running back roster looks like.
No, he does not have great running backs, but I would say even C- maybe on the running backs, honestly, because
that's fine.
Even the Bills have said, like, we'll run as much as we run. We're a throwing, it's a Josh Allen team. Like, we'll run when we run, and it'll be with whoever it is. Like, they're not concerned with giving a guy X amount of touches in the backfield or anything. It's a Josh Allen and Diggs team. So I would say C- for Mark's running backs, but he makes up for it down the line.
Yeah, and I might have been generous with some of these because I didn't want to offend anyone being the commissioner. But
It's pretty obvious what he's done with his roster. He's stacked up at other positions. I think even with the Buffalo position locked up, I looked through the reserves, and outside of Pollard as a handcuff / high-end second option for that real-life football team at running back, the rest of the 5-6 guys are just complete dart throws. So the depth being only one backfield being controlled and Tony Pollard, it's hard to give anything more than a C- at this position. C maybe, but
I think he'd agree with that. He knows,
he knows. It's not like he's hiding the fact that he didn't prioritize running back. It's part of the strategy.
Now, for my first A+, I give him an A+ at wide receiver. I mean, you have Metcalf, Ridley, Allen Robinson, Ayuk. He also locked up. I commend the guy because I love handcuffing. He handcuffed the Jets wide receivers, the young two, the two that they had. Similar to quarterback, this group has it all: top-end talent, solid floor with A-Rob, and he has some lotto tickets with the other guys that could pop. Are you seeing anything else with this? I mean, he's got Laviska Shenault too, and Jalen
and Rager. Even for the first couple weeks of this year, Rager could be maybe for him probably won't play, but for some people could be a flex. But I agree with Eric.
Go ahead.
He's set up very, very. He's not a team that you're ever going to want to face. He has premium quarterbacks. He has A+ premium wide receivers and a probable top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
You are not going to the Memphis Sparrows. Yeah.
This is how you draft a position so that you've got other positions you can improve by trading your depth from. So, Metcalf, Ridley, he's probably going to hold on to because those guys are studs for forever. Robinson, he can play now as a wide receiver 3 and take the points, or he could trade because he has, if some of those depth bench guys work out and become wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, he can trade Robinson straight up for a running back. And then this roster becomes even more scary in my mind. So this is how you draft position. So
if he wants to trade Robinson, I'm a welcome participant.
You don't say.
Sorry. I
love Mark's draft. It sucks to – I don't know if it sucks, but the very first team we start talking about we're gushing over. But Harry's right. This is how you draft from the spot that he drafted from in a super flex especially. He's done himself a lot of good now and going forward. He is set up very nicely. Even with that kind of hole at running back, he can easily overcome that with the talent he has everywhere else.
I'd rather a hole at running back than a hole at quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he has Mark Andrews and Irv Smith. Irv Smith is kind of like a safeguard because Kyle Rudolph isn't going to last forever with the Vikings. Irv Smith is the future. In the same
he's the next guy there.
I gave Memphis an A with tight ends. In my comments were Mark Andrews. Yeah. I said Mark Andrews and Irv Smith give this group both youth and pop because who knows what's going to happen with Kyle Rudolph. Irv Smith could slowly transition to be the guy. And I could see that happening as soon as this year. And now he has
he's still got Andrews. So maybe he trades Andrews like he does with his receivers. He trades Andrews and he's got a guy to step up, or he takes the points and he trades the guy that is stepping up. Either way, it's another
and he has A's at every position but running back.
Yeah.
I gave him an overall grade of A. And I just said outside of complete zeros at running back, which could happen, but if he gets complete zeros, I think he's going to be the winner of this division.
Well, it's hard to envision him getting a complete zero when he has both of the Buffalo guys. So, short of them both getting hurt, one of those guys is going to get 15 touches, It's bound to happen. Allen's not going to throw 50 times a game.
You'd hope not.
So You know,
even
as a guy that doesn't own him, you hope he doesn't, and they're not going to run it. Yeah, I agree. The Memphis team is very.
What about if he throws 30 to 35 to 40, but he rushes 10 to 15?
He's probably running the rest of them, though. They're probably still not handing it off. He's probably running a lot. Yeah.
Josh Allen, what excites me about Josh Allen is he's a quarterback that can run, but when he runs, you're not like grasping for your life every time he runs with the ball. That
it doesn't feel like he's made of glass.
He's more likely to run through someone than someone's going to injure him when he's running. So that gives me some breathing room.
And we're both in the ABL, all three of us. Sorry. Josh Allen's a big boy, as people said. He's not. He's a big boy. He's not going to get taken out easily. And he has a cannon for an arm. He can throw it deep.
And he's got a guy that can catch it. You know, Diggs showed that he can catch what he's throwing at him. So if you believe in the big step that he took forward with his completion percentage and stuff like that, then clearly the Bills do. They gave him the money. And he seems to be pretty much the consensus too, at least and I've done a dozen or so leagues. Him and Kyler are pretty much the consensus 2-3. I've seen Dak go as high as 3, quarterback 3, I should say. But the 1 and 2 seems to be Mahomes and Allen.
Now I'm going to move on to, unless you guys had any more comments for Mark.
No, I agree. I think quarterback and wide receiver. Absolutely. Running back, I'd just knock it down a tiny bit. Tight ends, I hate to get into the injuries depth thing, but it does happen. Like, I'm not as convinced on Irv Smith. Like, if Andrews was to go down and he had to, he could always trade or trade one of the wide receivers and pick up tight end depth if he desperately needed it. But if Andrews goes down, I don't know if there's the depth in the tight end room to give it an A, but it's just it would only be an A- drop down for me, maybe, or a B+. So not that much different.
Oh, what the fuck?
You all right, Alan?
Well, Adam in the chat said Zach Gallen ... So I don't know what that means. Did he get hurt? Did he get killed? Did he what happened to Zach Gallen?
So I'm gonna let you check that, and then I'm gonna say something real quick about Josh with his quarterback, then sneak away for a minute or two.
Okay.
Josh, I gave his quarterbacks an A+. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to look at his team roster real quick. I'm giving this group this grade based off the potential alone. I personally think Watson and Lance are zeros, but if they play, they could carry this team. Because he has Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Mac Jones, which I believe is the New England quarterback, and Trey Lance. I believe that Trey Lance and Deshaun Watson are busts. You guys can discuss that as you want. I'll be back in a minute or two.
Yeah, I mean the talent's there in this group. I wouldn't do A, but maybe I'm working out. I'm just the pessimist among us, but I wouldn't give it an A+ just because if those things do play out, if Lance isn't as advertised, Watson's done, Jones, I guess between the three of them, there's a likelihood there's a QB2 there for the years to come. But I don't know. I'd give it an A just based on a little bit.
Yeah, just based on having Kyler. Yeah, you have to like. You have to like what you get from one, but it's at least going into the first few weeks of this year, especially, it's a giant question mark. You wonder if maybe, Josh and Squibb, they seem to know what they're doing. Like these guys, they clearly had an idea for this team. They're hoping that Mac Jones is going to take over for Cam pretty early, or maybe that Cam gets traded, which I guess I could potentially see. I get Cam to the Colts rumors have started flowing. But they used an early pick on a super bell cow rookie running back. And then kind of almost went the same route as Mark with the excellent young receivers, especially with Jefferson and McLaurin, and then kind of an underrated, maybe getting some helium lately, Darnell Mooney. I do like the team. I don't like it as much as Mark's, just for being the second team that we're discussing.
If we're giving Mark an A+ at quarterback, I just can't see us giving a A+.
Yeah, I can't see giving the same grade there. Yeah.
If Watson was cleared fully, sure, but it's just there's a little bit of doubt. I'm now looking because I noticed this is the team that drafted Akers. I'm just trying to look at what the other quarterback options were. So he could have had round 6, so that goes backwards. So he could have had Wilson, Ryan, Wentz, Fitzpatrick, Roethlisberger, his choice of sort of those bottom tier quarterbacks, just for a bit more security, just to hold him over until Lance is ready. Yeah. So I would have liked to see that over the Akers pick, and then I would be prepared to give this an A+ quarterback room, but it's probably more likely an A minus.
Yeah. And then with
the Josh, right?
Go ahead.
We're still on the Josh thing, right?
Yes.
No, we didn't discuss quarterback. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
We're wrapped on quarterback now. We've talked it over.
Is there anything else you want?
I think we agree that we like Josh's team. We don't like it as much as Mark's, just for being the second full team that we're going over. It's hard to say that it's as good as the Pharaohs, but
for quarterback.
Oh, I just mean generally. I mean generally. Maybe I skipped ahead a bit, but we said he did the young receiver thing. He did Jefferson, McLaurin, and maybe he's not as strong in the 3-4, but he did go bell cow rookie running back. That's going to be the bell cow for the next X amount of years in Pittsburgh. You think? We
hope. There's Benny Snell and what's the other guy's name that was there?
Those guys are no threat. Yeah.
That's what we say. That's what we say. But who was the guy there last year? He escapes my mind. Benny Snell, and who was the guy last year that was the rookie?
I don't recall. I know before that Jimmy Conner came out of nowhere and stuff. But
what were you saying, Harry?
McFarland comes to mind at some point.
Yeah, that's it. McFarland. Anthony McFarland. And the only reason I say that is the Steelers are a team, especially with Tomlin, because he's been there for a while. They're not going to get rid of the guy. He's a one running back coach. Yeah. How many years have we seen the Steelers, That's why I just say that as a disclaimer. And my wife is the Steelers fan, so I have to watch the Steelers. But how many years have we seen – God, who was the garbage running back they had? Jalen whatever, who just Samuels, who's filled in for James Conner. And, you just see the Steelers are, next man up, he's going to get 20 touches a game. Next man up, that guy gets 20 touches a game. You don't see the Steelers. Yeah. They don't do timeshares. They don't do, this guy gets 8 to 7, the next guy gets 8 to 7. The guy is the guy. That's all I want to say about the Steelers.
No, I think the Josh and Squibb team is a nice young team. Really the only pick I think Harry and I both agreed on that we didn't agree with was Akers in the 6th. The rest of the team was pretty solid.
Yeah, and I kind of said that with my notes that you guys see is I'm giving this group a solid B, but it's dependent upon the return of Akers. Akers could come back next year and be top 5 running back, but he could not as well. And it looks like you guys went over the wide receiver group and the tight end group, no problem.
Yeah.
Tight end. There's multiple guys there.
My overall grade was a B+. Lots of upside and question marks, but enough depth that could compete and win the division.
That's good.
I agree.
Okay. Next is Jeff, who hopefully is still watching us. He was our live viewer.
We're going pretty deep, man. We're already at an hour 48. We're loading it up.
And it doesn't seem like
it's 8:30 for me. 8:30 in the evening. 8:30 last night for you.
Yeah. I've already switched over to the American beer, so I'm sorry, Harry. I've got Blue Moon, so.
Yeah, Foster's is Australian. I don't care for it.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, it's the best I could find. I scoured over the best beer place I could go to, and Foster's was the best I could find. That was imported.
Yeah, it's closer than Blue Moon. Blue Moon's Belgian, is it?
Yeah, and it's Denver. It's a Colorado beer, isn't it, Alan?
I thought it was. It might be made in America, but it's Belgian style.
Yeah. Harry's right. Yeah, it's got like it's got coriander and orange zest in it.
Yeah, you can put a slice of orange.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of those ones that you squeeze an orange into. Man, Moose, if Jeff is watching, Moose just hit into a game-ending double play with 2 men on, down by 1 run. So that's a stinger. If Jeff is watching.
So the reason I have this Blue Moon, Harry, and I don't know if you
about the Moon Man.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. My wife works at Sam's Club. I don't know if you've heard this with me and Alan and everyone else talking. Sam's Club is like a warehouse, whatever. They were selling Blue Moons. Get this, Alan. 24 bottles for $9.99.
Oh man, that's cheap beer level prices for a not a very cheap beer.
Yeah. So we bought 6 cases of it, and I'm trying to go through it for expires. So that's why I'm doing the Blue Moon.
Challenge accepted.
Do you guys have any warehouse stuff down there where you buy stuff in bulk?
You guys have IKEA? Yeah, I don't have anywhere I live.
We have one
States, but I don't have any.
We have one called the Warehouse, literally. We have one called Kmart, which is
wow.
We have Kmart, but I don't know if it's the same Kmart. But we did have Kmart. Yeah.
Does it have like a red K with a Mart in blue letters?
So it is.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco? None of that.
No.
Yeah, fair enough. I just had to ask,
Yeah, no, with those 2 are the big ones in that vein. So, yeah.
My wife's just a retail store manager. That's why. Side note ended. So still, if you Americans shop at Sam's Club, Alan loves it.
It's my favorite American department store warehouse.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Next, we have Jeff, who's watching. Hopefully, still. At quarterback, I give him a B. It's because I'm very high on Mayfield and Winston, and he has Lamar as well. I'm a believer in Baker. I love Baker, always have. I think that, how do I say this politely, but I probably won't. I think Taysom Hill has child pornography pictures of Sean Hill. And that's the only reason the guy is getting playing time. I don't know how the guy gets playing time at quarterback. I don't know how. Jameis Winston is quarterback.
Please do not sue me. If he happens to fucking see this, please do not sue me.
If he does, he does. But the smile on you guys' face kind of gave me a little hint. But Jameis Winston is an actual quarterback. Taysom Hill is a gimmick meant for NCAA football 2014 that Harry's playing. That's go ahead.
Thomas out now. Do you think Hill has a potential? Because the whole thing was Winston can throw it long and let Thomas shine. If Thomas is out and they're going to have to find a way to orchestrate offense, is Hill just the starter? I mean, I got Hill 6 rounds later than Winston, and I still think that job is up in the air. I don't think Winston. People wanted to be Winston from the same reasons you're talking about, proper quarterback, and the idea they're going to play better football is there. But in terms of fantasy and in terms of this season, I think Hill's even probably got a leg up. But that's my view.
Well, fair enough. I just think Winston's an actual quarterback.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill is a gimmick that I think Sean Payton, and he's probably never going to listen to this podcast, but Sean Payton just wants to fuck with us. Jameis Winston is a better quarterback.
I will say, your wife is the Steelers fan. You know, gimmicks can work from the Cordell Stewart days. You know this.
They can.
So they can work and they can be successful. And Taysom Hill has scored touchdowns in the NFL. He has some sort of utility.
He just has the dirt on Sean Payton to get him to get played.
Yeah, but I mean, does he have the dirt on the defenses that he's burned for touchdowns too? I mean, I'm not some Taysom Hill fan. I don't know where he went to college. I don't get his story, but in a kind of a funkier, maybe they're forced to be a little funkier than they want to be with the Michael Thomas stuff. Maybe he does carve himself out more of a role, with the Kamara being the scat back, the pass catcher, and Murray being the hammer running back. Maybe Hill does find these weird plays. Maybe they do more wildcat type stuff. Like maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he sucks. He sucked before.
Oh yeah. Wildcat, you mention it, and I'll just end it at this. Taysom Hill could be Tim Tebow 2.0.
Sure, he could be.
All right, discuss.
Jameis Winston could go steal something from a Creole buffet and end up in jail again.
Crab legs are tasty, man. I love crab legs.
I don't disagree. He's a little weird. I mean, he's shown that he can be good. He's shown that he can sling it, but he's shown that he can suck. And when you're talking about Taysom Hill, whatever it is about him, Peyton likes him.
Oh yeah. I don't know what it is, but he likes it.
Get him 6 rounds later than Jameis. I mean, he doesn't have to do much to.
No, he doesn't.
Be a valuable player, at that draft position. He doesn't have to do that much, but he's got a high relative to the other players going there. He's got a high ceiling. So.
For sure.
But he could be a zero. He could be.
Anything you want to add, Harry?
I feel like it's in my screen. I'm in the middle. I don't know if that's for everyone. It's kind of funny that you two are like.
But I will say, I love you, Alan. Like, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, man.
Like,
This is,
we disagree.
I'm just giving.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
My point of view. I don't even know how we.
Give us the middle ground. Give us the middle ground.
I guess that's kind of one of those bias things I was talking about way at the start of the podcast. If you take away your thoughts on them as being proper quarterbacks and just look at it as the value of the picks, then I think you'd have to go with whichever one was drafted lower. And it would be the same if I took Hill in the round he took Winston and he got Winston 5-6 rounds later, you'd be saying Winston's a value. So I think it's shop talk when we get into who we think's the better real life quarterback when it's we're using them for fantasy context, I guess.
And
I think it'd be a lot more relevant. Sorry, Tony. I think it'd be a lot more relevant if we were talking about Jeff. Him as Jeff's super. He's like Jeff's third QB. So it's not like he's in a position to where he's forced into starting Winston early on or anything before anything gets ironed out. He's at most he's his third QB. So. I mean, maybe that doesn't look great, but maybe it ends up looking really. If Winston wins that job, the receivers after Michael Thomas on that team are not good.
No,
but there are skill players there that are good.
Alvin Kamara is a receiver.
You can see 100 catches out of Kamara. Yeah,
he's a receiver. I also
Adam
think
Troutman was shooting up board. He could easily be a top 10 tight end just based on like necessity almost with Thomas out. And if, like you said way earlier, Tony, if Thomas has played his last snap with the Saints, and it looks like he's publicly picking fights with the team. So I mean, Troutman becomes like when Robert Tonyan was catching all the, he's not necessarily catching them from a guy like Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers anymore, but he does become the big target really as far as receivers go Troutman does become that guy with Thomas gone. It's not going to be. They've given Traquan Smith years. He hasn't been good. He just hasn't been good. So it's Kamara, it's Latavius.
He's
Murray,
in some trouble as well, isn't he?
Taysom Hill in the slot. Maybe they work him in the slot. He's in the backfield.
Who's in trouble,
Smith?
Harry?
Is Traquan Smith in trouble, law-wise?
There's one of them as a DUI. I forget which one, but there's one of the Saints. There is one of the Saints receivers who has like a DUI or some.
I did not know that either. So
yeah, it looks like Callaway's the one that might be breaking into that role of potentially starting at wide receiver 1, which is crazy.
Now
moving on with Jeff.
You guys going to watch Hard Knocks tonight? Sorry, Tony. Are you guys going to watch Hard Knocks? Do you get that, Tony?
I will not.
Or
I will not.
Harry?
HBO?
I just have to pirate it. Again, don't sue me. Anyone watching the stream.
I'm very interested in the Cowboys. Well, I'm very interested in the Cowboys.
Up to you. Keep pirating. Don't worry about it. Anyways, with me, Jeff, he had Kamara, Connor, Mixon, Carson. I said this group gets an A for this year, but a B for future years. This will probably be the best running back group in the league and could carry this team with its top-end quarterbacks if they hit. I mean, I'm a big believer in Connor. Mixon's amazing, and you guys have discussed Carson. I hate him because the Pete Carroll connection, but I think you said something, Alan. He's like a top 15 running back, right?
He's consistently like top 12, top 15. Yeah, when he's healthy, at least. Yeah.
Just my personal bias eliminates Carson. Full disclosure. But he has Kamara, Connor, Mixon, Carson.
That's kind of like talking
a pretty
about good as his third quarterback. Carson's his third running back. He's got tremendous running back depth. With
you could even say four. You could even say fourth if Connor is the starter in Arizona. We don't know what Connor is going to do because he's with a new team. Now go ahead and discuss that.
I reckon it's a great room, and as much as it is older, I saw the note that for future years it's a B, and I agree. But running back's not the position that I just like to load up on young guys, because even the youngest of guys is probably most of the time only going to give you 3-4 years tops of solid production. So, and I think Kamara's game is going to age well. Mixon doesn't actually have the miles on him because of all the injuries he's had. So if he does crack it and does finally reach the potential of the season, he's still going to be very relevant the next couple of years, I think. So I don't mind it actually too much going forward. And I'm quite the believer of buying running back when you're ready to compete as a team. And so if this was a dynasty that was already around and this was the season we're coming into, it's kind of like he's already done that. He's brought on running back because he believes in the quarterbacks that he's got. And yeah, I think I like it. I like the position. I think it's a solid A.
It's great depth wise. I mean, it probably after Sam, one of the better, top 3 running back. And then if you want to extend that into the top 4, really, he's you can probably talk about that. He does, and it's going to be a common theme with every one of these teams. That's just how football is. You find a team that's really strong at 2 positions, and then he's a little weaker, at one. In this case, Jeff is with Kittle at tight end. He's also strong at tight end, and then he's somewhat weak at receiver. But the obvious big points of his team are his depth at QB and especially running back. And I think he probably meant to draft that way. I don't think, if you look at the way the draft went, it's not something he really fell into. I think he had an idea and pretty well stuck to it. And this is going to be a very tough division.
Yeah, and he'll probably just have to read it if he wants to go in for it this year. He could flip a running back and pick up a wide receiver and round out the roster, or he could start selling off some of the older talent if it's not going well and getting the youth. So he's left himself with options.
Now moving on to his wide receiver, I said C. That's probably a little harsh, but here's my logic. This will be the downfall of this team in my eyes. OBJ is not what he used to be. And spoiler alert, I think OBJ is overrated. That one-hand catch is all that got OBJ. That's just me. We saw that on Sunday Night Football. I don't know if you watch, I don't know the coverage you get. Sorry, Harry. But
I've seen the catch. Yeah, it's
and that was the thing that propelled OBJ. Like, every wide receiver in the NFL can do that. We just saw the highlight of OBJ doing it. That's all we saw. That's my personal opinion. We'll move on from that. Same thing with Julio. Dude's aging, and he's going into an offense with, as I believe Alan mentioned, A.J. Brown, who's probably the alpha for Tennessee. Julio's not the alpha he was anymore. He wasn't the alpha with Calvin Ridley in the foreseeable future, and I don't think he's the alpha with A.J. Brown in the foreseeable future with Tennessee. If these guys hit what their perceived public value is, this team could win the division. But I think they're two aging vets going into the sunset, and they have injury as well. Juju could surprise, but we don't know what is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers because they have so many of young wide receivers. Juju, Chase Claypool. God, there's another one. Deontay Johnson. Yeah. Probably the best of the group. I just forgot, But there's just too many mouths to feed there.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I don't. A lot of just guys, especially on the bench as well. Like Tutu Atwell, question mark. Fuller, question mark. Renfro, just a net negative. I think there's going to be guys on waivers that score the same as him. He's a depth guy, but he's not exciting. Shepherd, a bit buried as well. Yeah, he really needs, for this, as it is, this wide receiver room to stack up against others. He really needs a resurgence from Beckham, Jones to be good and not injured, and Smith-Schuster to outperform one of Claypool or Johnson. And that's just giving him his free wide receiver starter. Most people will use a wide receiver as a flex, and I don't think this team can with the options on the bench. They're probably more likely to do Connor or Carson there. So, yeah.
Real quick, Alan, before you go, I think Harry summed it up. They're just guys. He just said the wide receivers.
Guys that have had big years, and Juju is still really young.
Yeah,
I think for a team like Jeff's that his obvious weakness is wide receiver, it's still not weak enough to be the downfall of a team weak.
No,
it's not that bad. And his depth is good elsewhere where it's going to make up for that. Like Harry said, it's probably going to be Carson as his non-super flex, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
To have Carson as your flex, I think that's fine. There will be receivers that emerge on the wire that probably do score more than Ruggs and Atwell and that, but that's not – he wasn't – he didn't take Julio. He didn't take OBJ until the 10th round, so he doesn't need OBJ to be very good for him to be a value at where he drafted him. So when you look at it that way, you got Schuster. 1 or 2 years ago, Schuster was going in the 3rd, 4th round.
Before Chase Claypool got drafted, yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of started acting a fool as well, and he's got a negative public perception and stuff, but he's still only, I think, 24. So and in receiver talk, they stretch out a little longer than running backs and stuff. That's 24 is still pretty young, You and I look at Harry as young, and he's 2 years older than Juju. So Juju is very young. I don't, Julio's aging. He's maybe got 1 or 2 good years left in him. And if you like Baker, Tony, you have to like OBJ a little bit, right? You have to like.
Yeah, I do. So I don't know if some of you guys know this. Harry, did you say your age on the live podcast?
Yeah.
It felt like it was probably a day ago, but
I don't know if that was before or after. It was 3 days ago. But Harry is 10 years younger than us. So.
Yeah, 10 years younger than me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were doing a dynasty startup of human beings, I might just get drafted ahead of you for age. Age reasons.
We got veteran experience. We're the guys that you need.
Yeah. I'll trade for you when I'm contending.
We're the win now guys. Yeah.
So kind of wrapping up Jeff's team, I gave him a B-. Group that I think will miss out on the peak performance with some of the elite stars, but if they outproduce protection, it could be a production. Sorry, it could be a division winner in my eyes. I just don't see it with too many question marks.
I love the teardown if he does decide to go that route. If this season doesn't go well, he could flip Kamara, Vixen, Carson, like all of it, and end up with half the first round next year.
Yeah.
So there's some value that he can retain even if it doesn't go well for him this year.
I think so far of the three we've done, I put them at number 2 after the Pharaohs. I go Moonman 2 is so far and Team Josh 3. So far. I like the team. I think the question marks are all in one spot, and there are strong enough question marks to where it can be overcome, or even, if these guys all come back and are good again. If Julio is Julio has been a first-round pick before. He didn't get bad. He just got a little older, and Tannehill's a better QB right now than Matt Ryan is right now. So he gets an upgrade at QB. Brown is a better running back, but a better running back. Yeah, a way better running game. So that spreads the field for Julio a little bit, and maybe he finally starts catching some touchdowns. That's always what's held him down.
And play action could play huge for Julio.
I think Jeff's team, I think it's a pretty strong team, especially for a guy coming in that said, I don't do much football. And, it's been years since I paid attention to football. I really like the team that Jeff put together. I like the depth. I think it's a strong team. And again, third team in a row now, this is going to be a tough division.
Tough division. It's like my division in ABL.
There you go.
Tigers, me, and the Twins. All in the top 10.
Yep.
I don't even want to discuss your division in the ABL.
No, it's scary. Him and Tony, but send me to the NL East. Gosh.
Oh, that's fine. I can take it. No big deal. I just want to move on. I think we can agree that Sam's is the clear-cut fourth. I don't no offense to Sam, but he has top-heavy running back. Past that, it's a little scary. I'll go through his grade real quick, and you can say what you want. Quarterback is a C. He has Big Ben. He did handcuff the Colts quarterbacks. I don't know how this is going to hold up because I don't believe in Wentz. I just don't believe in any of the North Dakota State quarterbacks. But
Philly
who knows?
Here, and it's bad. Our offensive line was injured, and he was getting hit a lot, but his confidence.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle pressure, and if he can't handle pressure as an NFL quarterback,
that's not good. Yeah, not good. And then I think we can all agree running backs is an A+. I hope. I don't know if you guys he's knocked it out of the park with the running backs. Now, he built the draft how I normally would have in a standard league. I wait on quarterback. I think he waited a little long on quarterback in the super flex league.
For a super flex, especially, yeah. And Sam, this comes back to not knowing how serious he's being. He kind of played it off like, oh shit, in the 6th round, oh shit, this is a super flex.
But I think that's just Sam being said. I don't know the guy. Yeah, I hope to meet Sam,
but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he was if he was being serious, I still don't necessarily like the route he took, because he took Wentz before Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Cam Newton, like guys that I probably would have rather had as my QB1.
Now, time out just to defend Sam, because I don't know how this all fell. Was the Wentz news out before this draft started?
No, Wentz was healthy at the point he was drafted.
Yeah, and I want even when healthy, it's a clear run first team though. It was a Jonathan Taylor team. That's why he was going in the top 5 picks. I mean, he still did in this one, but in a standard, even a PPR, he was a top 5 pick in a lot of leagues, a first rounder definitely. There's no good or great wide receiver on that team. No receiver that Wentz has ever had better in his career. There's no Deshaun Jackson. There's no Zach Ertz. There's no,
Dallas Goedert.
They had, yeah, they're not there. So you're looking at Zach Pascal and Jack Doyle or Mo Alley Cox, and
I personally like some of the Colts' younger tight ends with Pittman and God, who's the other?
Yeah, you turned me on to Pittman. Was it Pittman or Pascal? I don't know. You turned me on to one of them in our dynasty.
It was Pittman.
But that's
what are your thoughts on Pittman, Gary?
I saw a lot of the Colts wide receivers, the Pittman, the Pascal thing, all get some love over the offseason. And I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know how these wide receivers are going to perform with the quarterback situation, whether it was Wentz, whether it was these other guys. I haven't seen him be able to. And the wide receiver room in Philly wasn't great when he was there, but yeah, I'm out on pretty much every Colt apart from Taylor, from maybe Ali Cox is a depth tight end, and that's kind of me. I just at their ADPs, I just can't.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's just one of the teams I'm just avoiding.
Alan, you want to add anything?
No, I it's obvious that he being Sam, it's obvious that he has amazing running backs. He has a lot of wide receivers. I don't necessarily know that the depth is all that great. Sam might have suffered from, I know he had at least a couple auto picks. I think he suffered a little bit from just not being there. And I don't think this is 100% the way he wanted to build his team. As I said earlier, I'm not a big Debo fan, so Debo is his third wide receiver. I don't love it. And then you go down the rest of the list, and Aguilar, Beasley, Christian Kirk. It's just not great. Not a great wide receiving core. So all of his depth is at his running back position.
You said Kirk's done, Alan, or sorry?
I didn't.
Definitely. Yeah, Christian Kirk's done. They're going, unless there's massive injuries. They've got Rondale Moore coming in. They've got AJ Brown coming in, and then Hoff. They're not going to use him more than a couple of times a game.
Yeah, I mean he's only 24, but he's been showing promise, and he never lives up to it. And
that's what I mean. Until
a little sick of,
which has been higher than it even is this year, the last couple of years, and it's just he's
not coming through.
Rondale Moore
and Juju's had a great season. Juju's had a tremendous season. Kirk hasn't done it. And sorry, Tony, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Rondale Moore, I believe, was a Purdue wide receiver. And
was he a first-round pick?
Yeah. Rondale Moore, this is a lot of praise. I realize it. But Rondale Moore was a kind of Swiss Army knife, and he reminds me of Antoine Randall L. from Indiana. Similar middle.
A good NFL season.
Yep. He may not be elite, but the guy has enough skills. That's just me watching him from watching a lot of Iowa football. I'm going to combine the last few. I think for the next teams. We're just going to combine quarterback, running back, and wide receiver.
Yeah, we can
end.
just rip through them. We're keeping. Harry's technically working. We don't.
When are you off, Harry? Like, how close are you to being off?
The clock.
Yeah,
2 hours.
The clock or the podcast?
Now, if we keep this going for two more hours, then I don't know.
Then you can have like a. Can you have like a happy hour beer? Oh, happy hour beer with us? You know, like. Oh, there it is. All right. Anyways, I'll just.
I'm going for a run in a few hours, so I won't have beer until probably time.
So we've got Lenny, the workout warrior, and Harry, the marathon guy, or sprinter, or whatever.
Not yet. Me and my partner are gonna do a half marathon in October, and it'll be our first one.
So you really do run.
It's a reasonably new habit. We sort of picked it up February this year just to stay in shape.
What the? Oh. Are we all good?
Yeah.
My pod cut it just did like a little glitch. I just want to make sure we all good.
What division do you want to go to, Sir Tony?
The next one. So we'll go to the whatever one you're in. I think that's the north. Yeah, the east.
East. Yeah, he's in the east.
The east.
I started with Dalvin Cookin.
Yeah.
My quarterback grade was C to C minus. Lowest I've had. Does Brady have anything left? Is Daniel Jones the quarterback for the Giants? Those two big question marks, plus Dalton, who I have already said previously will not start a game for the Bears. That's just me. And Nick Foles, who I don't think he's still employed by Chicago.
Nick Foles to the Colts?
Is Nick Foles the Colts? Will not start a game with the Colts. Okay.
It's a lower end of the league quarterback room, but I like it more than Ben and Roethlisberger in Indianapolis. Because Brady's got 2 years left. He's playing this year. He's playing the next year, and they will be at low end QB1, high end QB2 level. And Ben's legitimately only got this last year, I think. And then Daniel Jones, I'd probably like over the Indianapolis situation. So I think if we're going to give CMC whatever we gave him for quarterback, I think this has to be at least that, maybe even a slight grade higher.
And maybe it's just me. Oh, sorry, Alan. Maybe it's just me. I don't think Brady plays past this year, and I don't think Gronk does either.
Is he going to play better than Ben this year?
Yes.
Same.
The same.
Tampa's offense.
And Ben's only going to do 1 year as well.
Tampa's offense is good. Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's good.
Go ahead. Continue, Alan.
Brady doesn't have to. All he's been doing is be great with not great weapons around. He turned, Wes Welker into a stud. He turned, for 1 year, he turned Chris Hogan into a stud. He turned Chris Hogan into like a fourth-round pick the next year, so a fourth or fifth-round pick. He turned Julian Edelman into people saying he's a Hall of Famer.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, he had a year Randy Moss, but then you look at the running backs, Gio Bernard in Tampa or Fournette or Ronald Jones, whoever it is. I took Ronald Jones. One of those guys is going to be James White, and James White was always a sneaky, damn good running back 2 option for a team in a PPR league, especially.
It's going to be Bernard.
Brady.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's good. He's good. He's going to be fine. At least we're talking this year. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback. And what I'm afraid of, though, is that he's like so good at distributing the ball that I'm off of all the Bucs receivers. Like at their ADP, I don't have any Godwin. I don't have any Mike Evans. And I think Evans went a little later than I would have expected in this draft. But I'm kind of out on the receivers. But clearly I took Ronald Jones. I have a lot of Ronald Jones this year. I've got some Fournette. I've got a lot of Gio Bernard because you can get him so late. And I think he's going to be James White. I think he's going to be that guy. He's good at catching the ball. And Brady has shown he will throw to his running back. So I think Brady's good. I think Brady's good. I think overall the depth of this team, he's a little old. The team is a little old.
Yeah.
Not just Brady, like Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Thielen. They're all kind of old. So that's something that would worry me about this team.
Harry, I know you follow up on the Discord. I think Dwight's a generation above all of us.
I think Dwight said he was like 50 or
50 or 60. Yeah. So he would be in your dad's range. I don't know what your dad's age is, but I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, and that's no offense to Dwight because I attach myself to the older generation versus the younger generation. That's just me personally. Yeah. Go ahead, compound on that.
Oh no! Well, if that's the case, then I mean, he's obviously been paying attention with the Hockenson thing. That guy's really with the situation he's in, with potentially being the leading target in Detroit. I think that shows that he's down with the kids or down with where the hype is on players. So I think whatever they want. The Edwards-Helaire pick in round 3 is great. I tend to think I have a feeling Brady's got 2 left. Dare I say 3? Got 2 left. So
the running backs are incredible.
I don't hate the quarterback situation as much. I still think it's lower tier because it doesn't have the depth, and I'm not fully in on Daniel Jones, but Brady is the QB1, is like the last QB1 I'd want in a league, so that's fine with me. And then tight ends, I like it. It's got depth and top end with TJ Hockenson. Wide receivers a little bit old, but I mean Allen, Hopkins, Thielen is decent. And then running back Cook and Edwards-Helaire. It's a little bit top heavy and it's a little bit old, but all things considered, I don't mind the roster.
Personal opinion, because I'm an Iowa guy. Hockenson, distant third tight end to Kittle and Fant. And distant third. I'm talking worlds apart. For Hopkins.
So by what measure?
Think the situation for this year at least is too good.
By what measure? It's good. Pizza bet. Kyle Pitts, TJ Hockenson. What measure do we need?
Next 3 years, Kyle Pitts outscores TJ Hockenson.
So you're gonna owe me a pizza 3 years from now?
What?
You're gonna owe me a pizza?
I'm trying to tell you what. You asked me what to bet. I think in the next 3 years, Kyle Pitts outscores TJ Hockenson.
No, you misunderstood. You said this year it's a Hockenson at 3 and then a big gap. I'm saying I want a pizza bet you.
Hold on. I am talking about Iowa tight ends. You have TJ Hockenson and George Kittle. Sorry. It goes, in my eyes, Noah Fant, clear number 1. Noah Fant is the clear number 1. And we'll get into this later. Kittle's the 2, and the Hockenson.
We are later. It's 27.
No. Well, I'm saying we'll get into this because of where Kittle and Hockenson were drafted plus Fant. That's why I'm saying late.
5 hours in, and Tony's still going to say, we'll get into this later. All right. We'll get into this later.
But it's pretty much, I'm saying Hockenson is the distant third of Kittle, Fant, and then Hawkinson's
okay, I think I stopped listening at distant third. I was already getting the pizza bet ready in my mind. I thought you were saying Hockenson was tight end 3, No, and then
tight end 3 of the Iowa tight end. Iowa tight end.
Okay. I was ready to put Kyle Pitts honor on the line.
No, sorry.
Hockenson in a pizza bet.
I would take Hockenson more anything over Pitts this year. Just this year.
Yeah.
Because the situation's too good. 3 years.
He's going to get peppered. He is. He's going to get peppered, especially by Goff, who does not have a cannon of an arm. Hawkinson.
I'm just talking about the Hawkinsons, Fant, and Kittle. That's all I'm talking about. All right. Do we have anything else to say about Dalvin Cook? I see the running backs are B-. He has Cook and CEH, but after that, not much.
It's a 12-team league. It's going to be hard to say that like nobody is competing in year one, because I don't think anybody drafted poorly enough to where we're going to say, well, this guy's out of it. I don't think we're going to come across that team. But like it is about being a dynasty. It's about how it's going to look going forward. And I just feel like the team's a little old. Now maybe Dwight has ideas in mind. I'm not a football pro or anything, but it just feels a little old on its face. Like compared to the other teams we've looked at, it just feels a little old. It's a good team. Could easily win this year. I could easily see it being top of this division, like whatever. But if going forward, it feels a little old. What? Buddy?
Yeah, Harry.
Yeah, I think definitely I would take age into consideration a little bit when it comes to wide receiver. I mean, the chances that Allen, Hopkins, and Thielen and Anderson are going to be starting wide receivers on this team in even 1, 2, 3 years' time is low. So I bumped the A+ down to maybe a A- just given that age range for it. I love Cook and CEH as a 1-2 punch at running back. I think that's freaking awesome. And Hawkinson, and the tight end depth behind him with Higbee. And I think Ertz bounced back a little bit. He's never going to be probably a tight end 1 again, but he should be relevant whether he's in Philly or ideally if he gets traded. So, I like the squad overall.
What about if Ertz does get traded?
It'd have to be Buffalo, I think, or somewhere like that. And
don't do that. I love Dawson Knox.
I can't do Dawson Knox again.
Fair enough. So you've done it too many times, probably.
Real quick, I want to point out that Sam has said in the Discord that it was his 4th running back, which was Josh Jacobs, that got auto-picked, and that if he hadn't, he did want a quarterback there. So if you look at the quarterbacks that Sam could have taken, run CMC, like his draft could have ended up a lot differently because the thing that we bagged on him the most for was his QB1 being Carson Wentz. So if he doesn't get autoed with Josh Jacobs in the 4th, and instead he takes pretty much any other quarterback, Stafford or Cousins or Mayfield or Brady or Tua, like his team probably looks quite a bit different. Now, granted, that's it turned out the way it turned out. But I don't think he said he got skewered. I don't think he really thinks that. But it's a fair point to make that it was the 4th round pick, another running back, and probably just Jacobs was top of the heap at that time, or maybe he was in his queue. I don't know. But if he does get a QB there, that team looks a lot different. The last division we talked about. But
no. Harry, any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't know that. For sure. And as we were sort of joking, hopefully playfully, he knows that we're joking playfully on it. And I apologize if we caused any offense. But no, given that extra knowledge, it makes more sense. But
yeah, Sam can take it. I just wanted to point out since he put it right up, and I happened to check while we were talking, and he said he was watching. He's one of the people watching. He's like, just for the record, it was the 4th running back that got autoed, and he did want a QB there. So it didn't turn out that way, but it could have went. Maybe he still ends up with Roethlisberger, but he has Brady and Roethlisberger instead of Wentz and Roethlisberger, and I like that a hell of a lot more. Like, going after this year, it looks terrible, but for this year, his running backs and then Ben and Brady, that looks great. Totally. For this year, it looks great. But
just a quick side note, real quick. Harry, have you engaged in any trade talks or anything with Sam?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we got many. Oh, we got that. We must have got one done because I got his first for next year. I don't remember. I don't.
But you talked to the guy at least.
Yeah.
It's just he's a down to earth, level headed guy from.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think real offense or anything. Sorry, I didn't mean to get us too off
Oh,
track.
No, you're right. It's a good. It
No,
makes sense.
no, I appreciate that we're including the guys who are actually watching us live. Because if Sam's watching us live, we should say something. But the next,
we tore them apart. That's what we did.
Yeah. I think we went through the running backs. Now we'll go through the wide receivers and tight ends for Dalvin Cookin. He had Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Thielen, Slayton, Anderson. It's a solid group.
Old.
Go ahead.
Old. Just old. Move on. Old. They're old. They're we know the names. We know what but they're old. They're good, but they're old.
Terry?
Yeah, sorry, we did touch on this just before. I reckon it's an AA minus just based on they're all elite for now. I just don't know what this wide receiver room will look like in coming years, but for this season, it's good.
Okay. We'll skip past the tight ends. He has Hawkinson. I've said my piece on him. Ertz, Graham, Higbee, Akins. It's a deep group, but there's nothing that sticks out. Do we agree there? He's got depth, but nothing that's
I've already
amazing.
forgotten what you said. Yeah, it's just
That's
I
fine.
think PJ's a tight end one this year, so I think he's solid. And then if anything happens to him or he underperforms, Higbee should be able to step up and hold the spot. So it's decent room.
Now I want to open this up because I'm going to take another 2 to 3 minute break. Alan, roast your dad's team. Your dad's team is next. Garoppolo.
So
Go
full
ahead.
disclosure, he's probably like the least NFL guy like in this league. Like he's probably one of the least NFL-y guys that you'll get in a dynasty. But he really likes ABL. He does some fantasy football. This is his first ever dynasty. So getting that out of the way. I think the quarterbacks are fine. I don't love Kirk Cousins, but I think the depth at QB is about as good as everybody else. I mean, maybe he doesn't have a definitive. Garoppolo is very questionable, but maybe Tyrod starts the whole year for the Texans, and he definitely has a third starter. Barkley in the first. Would you have taken – what's the highest you would take Barkley right now, Harry? Like in a standard –
In a dynasty superflex, not in the first round. No,
not in the first, right? Like I feel like that was – I don't want to say like it's as bad as one of those like you can't win your league in the first round, but you can definitely lose it. If
There's
Barkley
only
play,
three running backs I'd take in the first round of the dynasty superflex this year, and it's McCaffrey, Taylor, and Cook.
Yeah, and it's like you don't want to –
probably Barkley.
Like Barkley's not a bad pick, and we saw him bouncing around today. He looked fine, but if for whatever reason he doesn't play the first couple of weeks, you're already down your first round pick, and
it would have been cool if he got Cook there because Cook was available. So you go Cook, Kelsey, Diggs as Tannehill.
Yeah, and then still end up with Tannehill, Cousins. And I like Kenny Galladay, and he's got a couple of the kind of nice handcuffy. He did end up getting Devontae Booker, and we've seen that he can perform when Saquon is out. He went on that run last year of a bunch of touchdowns in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't hate.
Do you buy AJ Dillon? People love AJ Dillon, man, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I've got my fair share. I've got quite a few of them just because again I've been waiting on running back in a lot of these leagues I've been towards the back end, so I haven't been able to really start running back like as many times I would like. I've got a lot of like Kelsey Diggs type teams, and then really grabbing up those receivers. I've got a lot of AJ Brown. I got a lot of Ridley, like that range of receivers, and then waiting on running back. So AJ Dillon, somebody I got a lot of. If Jones goes down, this is always big.
He's not getting drafted as a handcuff in the leagues that I've seen him. I don't know where he went in this league specifically, but the other leagues just slash people's RB rankings. He's a top 30 RB.
He did go in the 8th. He went in the 8th in this one.
That's what I mean. I don't know.
That's a little high. That feels a little high.
Because Aaron Jones is the guy.
Jones is not old,
He's the guy for this year and probably next year. I don't know. I just seem to be missing some of the hype on AJ Dillon because I
think he went a little early, but just knowing my father's thought process is he kind of went the Devontae Booker, Chase Edmonds, AJ Dillon, Rashad Penny. Like he went for those handcuff guys, and he might have reached a little bit on. He's very weak at wide receiver. That's the big weakness of this team. When you have Travis Kelce, that helps make up for it.
Yeah,
but he's an injury away from. The depth of back and receiver is really tough.
Yeah,
and he is a Travis. Sorry to interject, but he's a Travis Kelce injury away from being the worst team in the league.
That would be devastating. Yeah, it would.
Yeah. Just because we're talking about the depth of
the Barkley basket. That's a tough thing to do, but he didn't sacrifice. Like you look at who he could have taken. If he didn't go Barkley in the first, he could have had Jackson. He could have had Herbert. He could have had Russ. He could have had Kamara or Cook. That's going to be a nice pick going Barkley in the first.
It just for me, and I didn't see all you guys' discussion, but the Kelce and it's Kelce he has, right? I believe.
Yeah, he took Kelce in round 2.
Because I said A+ for Kelce for tight end. It's Kelce and a Saquon Barkley injury away from just decimating this team.
Yeah, but I mean, we could.
Most teams would.
We could say that about most teams. Harry finished. I'm an Aaron Rodgers injury away from being, really in trouble. He does. He's not more top heavy than anybody else. It just happens to be that he's top heavy at the one position that has more separation in the top than anybody else, which is tight end. Like Kelce, points wise, plays more like a top 10 running back than he does a tight end. He's a super stud, and he probably will be for the next several years. And he doesn't miss a lot of time. I mean, Kelce's as steady as they come. You could maybe not in a super flex, but in a standard PPR, you can make a case for him in the first round, and even in a standard 12-teamer.
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, I think
I think kind of like Dwight. It's it's a little old. It's a little injured. But
now, is this a case of, and not to rag on either of them, but is this a case of your dad is older and Dwight is older?
I think it's more of a case of him not being as big of an NFL guy, really. He played some fantasy last year and stuff, but he is not a long-time fantasy football player like he is baseball. So, he buys a magazine and stuff, but he's not listening to podcasts outside of ABL. He's not listening to podcasts. He's not getting on websites. He's aware of pro football and stuff, but he's getting most of his info from magazines. So, and a lot of these magazines that came out months ago. That's the thing. These magazines that came out months ago. So, maybe that's maybe going to be a downfall in a dynasty type league, not being as tapped into the, like Harry said, even Dwight seems to be up with the kids. Dwight probably has a smartphone. Dwight strikes me. He took a picture at a ball game the other day and posted it on Discord. My dad, you're never going to see that from my dad. I can tell you that. He will never post a picture from anything. So, Dwight's more hip with the kids than my dad is.
And that's why I wanted to ask that, because you have those personal insights with your dad.
Yeah, it's not so much an age thing, because even if he was younger, he probably still would be as anti-technology as he is. So, because my dad's not, he's 56. He's not that old. I see way older guys walking around at Walmart with fucking smartphones and shit and Bluetooth headphones. I saw a guy today that said my dad would never know how to connect Bluetooth headphones to a smartphone and get it to play something. There's no way you could point a gun at him and he wouldn't be able to figure it out. I'm not ragging on him. That's just the facts. He wouldn't be able to figure it out. you'd have to kill him. So
now I want to blow through this real quick. You shared your opinions on your dad's team. I played fantasy a long time with Vince. I'm going to blow through Vince real quick, and then we'll get to Harry. Okay?
Right.
Cool. He's the next team.
Vince. Another Red Bull.
Oh, go ahead. Vince, I had Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, and Jordan Love. Now, I think Harry and I are going to agree on this. You have Jordan Love and Justin Fields in a dynasty league. That's pretty good at quarterback. Would you agree or disagree there? A 12-team league.
Yeah. I'm not big on Love as much as everyone else, but he's got a good chance of being the guy when Rodgers probably leaves at the end of this year. I mean, definitely leaves at this point. I think Wilson's still got a few years, and Darnold was in the dumpster fire of the Jets, and this guy was someone who was talked about as being the number 1 overall pick in his year's draft. He slipped to 3 or whatever it was, but people thought he was the best quarterback out of that class when he was coming out, and was put on the Jets with no receivers and pretty much a terrible squad. So I probably more gravitate towards the Wilson. Yeah, I probably gravitate towards the Wilson Darnold end of it, and then Fields would be my pick out of Fields Love, obviously. But Love not so much. But between the 4 of them, there's enough there that I think he's going to have solid choice over the next 5-6 years at quarterback.
And that's my reasoning behind giving him an A+, just because of what you said. The next 5 or 6 years, he's got a lot going on.
I don't like his receivers. I think these are the worst receivers that we've seen yet.
And I think we'll get to that. Sorry, I was just going with his quarterbacks at this point.
I'm just fucking with it. I don't have anything to add. I mean, a lot of this stuff is it's pretty. Henry Swift. He's great at running back. We don't need to say anything about Henry and Swift. He's great at running back, but the receivers, that's the thing to talk about, I think, here. Is he has, at least so far from everybody we've talked about, I think he has the weakest. There's a lot of them, but they're all Jags. Like you said earlier, they're all just a guy. I don't think any of these guys project to be – even Godwin, who was going in the 4th and 3rd round in drafts, last year when everybody thought he was – going to catch 120 balls from Brady, but these are – I don't know a lot about this what is it, Devontae Smith? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about him, but I think these are pretty weak wide receivers.
Devontae Smith will be a relevant wide receiver just because Philly's room is bad and he has a chance to lead it. He was
someone's got to catch the ball.
But really it's relying on those 3. Mike Williams is the 4th best receiver, and that is dodgy because we know he hasn't quite lived up. Keenan Allen's still going to be the clear number 1 alpha, and then and even with Herbert going off last year, Williams still didn't do that well. So he preferred to throw to what was it, Josh Reynolds was getting more catches than Mike Williams. So, and Mike Williams is 6'4". He should be catching passes.
Yeah, he's a go up and get it kind of guy. And Herbert said, we got to get him the ball more, but we hear that all the time.
Josh Reynolds is gone.
Yeah, but if it was Josh Reynolds getting catching passes instead of Mike Williams, whoever else is there is going to catch passes over Mike Williams. So if that's your 4. The top end's there for 2, and then depending on Smith, how that plays out. But I think Smith should be okay. It's going to be more of a year 2, year 3, year 4 thing. But the depth's not there.
This is getting to the exciting part for me. We're going to his tight ends, and you guys see the notes. So you're going to see this before everyone else. So you can laugh. It's fine. My tight end notes for him is. Lots of options here, lots of outcomes. I feel Fant is one of the best in this format at his position. This could be a good wait and see, and I think he is the next Kelsey.
He does have really good tight ends.
I do believe Noah Fant is the next Travis Kelce. Go ahead.
Travis Kelce has one wide receiver he competes with in Tyreek Hill, where if Jerry Jeudy's as good as advertised when he's healthy and Cortland Sutton's back, he's competing with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy for targets, and he's got a much worse quarterback than Pat Mahomes is in Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, or whoever they draft next year. So I think Fant's still a few years away from reaching those heights. I think for this season, Fant's a low-end tight end 1, maybe even a high-end tight end 2.
Tony, if you need to take another minute after that, I understand, because that hurts.
No, I will tell you, it's just looking at the Hawkinson Fant, blah, blah, blah. Noah Fant is a freak athlete.
I don't like this.
It's a big leap to make. Like Harry said, Jerry Jeudy got 113 targets last year in a year that he wasn't all that good. I know Fant wasn't there, but Sutton was hurt. So you get Sutton back. You have a second year of Jeudy. Fant is the third look minimum on that team. And that's if it's not designed to, dump it off to Melvin Gordon or whoever it happens to be. Not that I don't think he's a freak athlete.
Who's the other guy there? I think you might know this, Harry. The Javonte Williams, or who's the
running back?
North
Carolina.
Yeah. I just think
the Gordon's throne.
Fant is that much better than Jeudy. Fant's the best receiver there. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
It's a bold statement.
I think that's a hot take. Yeah, I think that would be classified as
Fant is the best receiver in Denver.
Maybe that's true. I just don't think it's going to bear out that way.
It might not bear out.
Yeah, like target-wise and everything.
It's not that far outside of the realm of realistic possibilities. Because, are we scared of Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler? Oh, my God.
No, but I think Judy's really good, and I think Cortland Sutton's really good. I'm not scared of him. I just think, yes, there's a less than 0% chance that Noah Fant leads that team in targets or catches, but I think the odds are way greater that he does, and I think they're even greater that he's not the next Kelce, because Kelce's pretty fucking good. When you break his points down, like I said, he plays like a top.
I'm not denying that. I just love Noah Fant's athleticism. Go ahead, Harry.
No,
Fant's. I'll make a pizza bet. Fant's ADP tight ends will not be in the top 5 next year for dynasty.
Pizza bet. Pizza bet.
Top 5 rounds or the top 5 tight ends?
Top 5.
Pizza bet. He said tight end. Pizza bet. We have this.
Top 5 tight ends next year. He will be outside the top 5 tight end ADP for dynasty.
I will bet. You guys serve pizza, right? In New Zealand.
We do.
This is for the record. Noah Fant will be top 5 tight end next year. ADP.
In ADP.
Pizza bet.
In ADP.
All right. Harry, you cool with that?
Yeah. Yeah, let's make it sleeper ADP and give it a date. We'll work out the logistics at the end. But
we'll work out the semantics because it's not that far off. Like tight end ADP is
it stays
but
solid.
For the record, Noah Fant will be 5 or less ADP in tight end next year. Harry believes
Noah Fant will be 5 or less touchdowns is what he will be.
I'll bet both you guys on that. I'll bet you, Alan, on that, and Harry on the other. But we'll move on.
He's probably got a legitimate shot to catch more than 5, but I just wanted to.
That's
you could see it. I'm going to 6.5. 6.5. I'll probably take the under.
Harry, we're good with our bet, right?
Yeah.
Top 5 ADP. Noah Fant 6 or less next year. Alan and I will discuss because we'll discuss that a lot. I just had this overall grade for that team's a B, It's not that impressive, but it's built solidly from top to bottom to compete for the division for this league and as youth to come. Now, any other comments on that?
No.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Alan and I get to pick apart the team from New Zealand.
3 hours into the thing, we finally get to Harry's team.
That's my fault. I'll take blame. I haven't sped this up a lot. I apologize. That's my fault.
Bring the poor guy on and then make him slog through 3 hours of this nonsense before we get to talk about his team.
but I think Harry is having fun, right?
He's getting paid. He's getting paid.
Yeah.
He's having fun. Now we're going to Harry's team. I'll go through my real quick synopsis, and then Alan can go through his, and we'll go from there. Quarterback A+. Lawrence, Hill, and Wilson. Lots of youth, upside in years to come. I like this group. Lawrence, if he hits, could be great for this year. The running back is where I have a little bit of concern because Etienne and Gaskins, we don't know what's going to go on with them. I have a B to B minus. A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, Johnson, Judy, and Sutton. This is a group that's very top-heavy, especially with the two Broncos wide receivers. Handcuffing them, I love it. I'm a huge handcuff fan, if you haven't heard by far. But they have some question marks. Tight end, I'd give a B+. Gesicki and Henry, both of them could hit and give you an A+. 100%. Because Henry's young enough and Cam Newton's young enough, they could both hit. Gesicki's young enough, his connection with Tua could hit. It's just my personal opinions. I don't know what's going to go on with Henry, and who knows who's going to be the Patriots quarterback. So that's just my concern. I give you an overall grade, a B for an A. I give the team the B for this year, but an A for future years. It kind of goes along with what you said. You built for the future years. This year could be a B, and it could be an A+. You could win that division. But I think your strategy is more built towards the future versus the win now.
Yeah.
Alan, any thoughts?
I guess what I'm mostly curious about is when you saw the draft order, Harry, and you could lock in that you were getting Allen. You probably would make the assumption that Mahomes is going first. When you knew that you were getting Allen, one, did you know that you wanted to start quarterback, and two, did you want it to be Lawrence? If you did.
No, I just genuinely didn't think Lawrence would be there. He went first round in my other one, late first round, early a couple months ago. So my assumption was he wasn't going to be there, and I wanted Allen, and then I just wanted to be one spot ahead of that in that second round to sort of catch the best wide receiver probably, unless running backs actually went a bit earlier. I thought someone like a Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott might be there for my second pick, and I could start quarterback, running back, but it didn't work out that way. The running backs went hot and heavy, and that was fine. I just then at that point decided that I was probably going to be not in the top half of the league at running back, and then when I really looked at it, my options, if I was going quarterback, it had to be Lawrence. I wasn't going to take Fields. I wasn't going to take Stafford or Tannehill in the second round. So it had to be Lawrence. If I was going to go quarterback, my best running back option was Najee Harris or Eckler, and I just didn't want to make that move in the second round. Tight ends, in a non-premium league, I just tend to not go for it. In a premium league, absolutely. Tight ends, after Kelsey had already gone, if Kelsey was there, maybe. But yeah, as I sort of worked through that thought process in my head, Lawrence became the pretty obvious choice in my mind. And then coming into the next pick, AJ Brown was there, and that just made sense. It was Brown or maybe I go Najee Harris, but I decided to go Brown. And then Yeah, 4 and 5 is my least favorite picks for my team. ETN and Chase, but I needed someone at running back, so I wasn't completely punting this year. So ETN and Gaskin got those picks where they got them, and then Chase, yeah, I don't know, high rookie pick. I went through some mocks and some podcasts and stuff like that, and and how dominant he was in college, and as we talked about, like the chemistry with Burrow as well, and that's sort of just what ended up being there. I guess now looking at my division compared to that first division we talked about, I have got a little bit lucky with the divisions. I think if I was in that first division, I would be punting this year. I'd be selling Hill, maybe some of my wide receiver depth and other things, and stashing some draft picks and looking to go for it in the next couple of years, because that division before my one was a bit more brutal. But yeah, with this division, potentially, if I am in the sniff, I might look to buy a running back and go for it. So, or a tight end if Gesicki and Henry don't work out. But going into the draft, I wasn't planning on my team working out this way, and then I like it how it's turned out. But yeah, usually I try to avoid punting year one, but just through a few factors, I'm going to need Lawrence or Wilson to work out as a good super flex to give this roster the punch it will need to compete. But if that happens, then I might look to be in the market to buy an RB and go for it. So that'd be quite nice. We'll see what happens.
Just real quick.
Go ahead, Tony.
Real quick, Adam. I think Cortland Sutton's the best wide receiver in Denver. I think you got to steal.
10th round pick.
I thought Noah Fant was the best
Oh,
wide receiver.
you got an absolute steal there.
Yeah, I mean,
You can brag. Go ahead. You can brag about it. But
no, I thought Noah Fant was the best wide receiver in Denver.
no, he's kind of.
I know.
We'll get there in a second. Fair enough. Hey, I will accept criticism. If there's anything you don't know about me, Harry, I will accept criticism. Alan knows this. We ran a few teams together. You can give me that criticism.
we've disagreed many times.
I like how you stick to your takes. You hear somebody's opinion on it, you hear it, but it doesn't necessarily sway you. You're not flippy floppy would call you here in New Zealand.
Cortland Sutton goes with his gut. He has a feeling in here, and he's going with it. Yeah.
Cortland Sutton is the best wide receiver. Now, receiving option, Noah Fant is the best receiving option.
The thing that makes Cortland Sutton the best in this league is that he went in the 10th round. That's the incredible value on Cortland Sutton, is that he went in the 10th. And Gesicki could easily, like, tight end is so fickle. Gesicki could be the best tight end in the NFL this year.
That's going to be Noah Fant. You're starting to get wishy-washy.
You've got the top three guys, and Waller hasn't been to practice in like 8 days or something like that. So you have the top three, and one of the top three has some sort of nagging injury or nagging contract issue, one or the other. But he hasn't been – he's been wearing pads and he's been lifting, but he hasn't been practicing. So you have the top three.
Isn't he, Waller?
Is what?
He's going to go play basketball.
Oh yeah, right. He could. I mean, shit. He's a little old. I mean, he's like 28 already. He had a couple lost years or whatever. But after those top three, it's a crap. Like the rest of the top five could really. There's always a couple of these rando guys. Gesicki could easily be one.
It was Logan Thomas and Robert Tonyan last year.
Right. Yeah. It could be Gesicki and Adam Troutman this year. And Kyle Pitts, and then. Waller's not even in the top five. This could easily happen. Kittle wasn't top five when he missed his time. He got banged up. So, your running backs are a little weak overall.
I'd knock it down to a C+.
Talking about the draft,
probably the only change I'd do to Tony's rankings.
Yeah,
knock my running back down to probably more like a C+. But other than that, I tend to agree.
Yeah, the team's great. The wide receivers are great. The quarterbacks are great. The tight end's fine. And even if the tight end wasn't fine, it's the position that matters the least in this kind of league. So, and Gaskin's sneaky good. If he stays healthy, I took Malcolm Brown as the handcuff to him. But Gaskin was good when he played. we haven't seen a full season out of him, but he was good when he played. He's sneaky good. You got him pretty late. So, I mean, especially in the division you're in, I quite like your team.
Is there anything you want to add, Harry, with your team?
No, if you're looking to trade a running back, hit me up. But other than that,
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Because in the next few teams, I've talked about running back trade. Alan knows this. Harry, you may not. I was actually in school to be a Catholic priest. So I bless everyone who's made it through these 3 hours to watch it.
I was brought up Catholic. My dad's side of the family is Catholic. I went to a Catholic primary and high school here.
Okay. I was in the Catholic seminary to be a priest for a year. But we'll continue on. Quit boring everyone with this.
Is that when you started drinking?
We're not going to discuss. We'll move on. And you may not know this, but I am married, and my wife and I are trying to conceive. So if you are Catholic, and Alan, whatever denomination you believe in, I hope you guys pray for us. We're trying to conceive a child. So that's my side.
Yeah. It's not my thing, but
nope, that's fine.
I wish you the best of luck. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter what I think, but I wish you the best of luck.
Fine. Yeah. We are on to not Chud, not fully. The West Bulldogs. Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Because we finished you in the last division because you were the last one, right?
Yeah, I'm in the wrong bet, but yeah, I'll find it.
We're all good.
Yeah.
Draft grade Bulldogs. I give them quarterback B to B plus, running back B plus to A minus, wide receiver B plus, and tight end B, with an overall grade of B. It just appears to me on surface level to be a solid team that will compete and give you nagging, almost like the Marlins in the ABL. It's a B. They're going to always persistently have enough to keep going at you.
I tend to disagree at running back. I think this is really strong at running back. Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. I don't think you're going to get that's strong. That's depth and top end. Jones has been top 5 PPR running back the last 2 years. Maybe even if he regresses a little bit this year, he should still be a borderline RB1. Jonathan Taylor, if he meets what everyone typed on him for, will be an RB1 and a pretty solid one at that. And then Dobbins is something sort of for the future as well. J.D. McKissick, maybe a little bit of a bit of backup. Gus Edwards is a handcuff to Dobbins. I reckon it's a solid A at running back. Would be my only.
The running backs are great. It's the receivers where he pays for it, and these are a little bit better than Vince's, but this group of receivers is in that discussion of maybe the lowest group of receivers of the 12 teams. Like Lockett and Woods are nice top 2. They're a little old for Dynasty, but then there's not much after that. Not that he needs a ton because Dobbins is his flex, his non-super flex. So the receivers don't have to be great, but there's not a ton of depth there, and there's not a ton of youth there either. Even a couple of the bench guys are quite old. So,
is there anything we want to say about his quarterbacks?
I think they're fine. I mean, Hurts is the future in Philadelphia. He's a little weak after that. Ryan's pretty old. Fitzpatrick's really old. But that's something that can be addressed. That's not something he needs to worry about. They're not old enough that he needs to worry about it this year. So I think a solid enough 2 QBs.
Harry?
I worry about it past this year. I think there's a scenario where Hurts doesn't work out and they're drafting. I think Washington will draft next year at quarterback, and I think Atlanta will draft next year at quarterback. So this year, fine. I reckon this year he's totally fine. I just next year on, I think he's going to have to be in the market.
QB and receiver, he's in trouble.
QB and wide receiver, he's going to have to buy. Tight end situation is average, and then it's running back is the only situation here that I really love. The rest of them, quarterback for this year is fine. Receivers I don't really love, and tight ends I don't really love.
I'm going to run into my few opinions, those you guys have seen. With quarterback, it's a B. He has Fitz and Matty Ice. I don't think either one of them are in danger of losing their job this year.
Not
I don't think.
year,
No,
not this year.
And that's good for a 2-quarterback league. Those guys have solid depth.
Like high enough like Ryan to have taken Pitts in the 3rd, But I think Pitts is athletic and young enough to be a target for whoever replaces Ryan.
Yep.
There's no
just past this year.
I don't see backup for Ryan. But maybe that works itself out later. But just going forward, he looks
who knows
on choppy water.
And then after that, I said his running backs were a B+ to an A-. And you guys are seeing this as I read it. And
I think they're a solid A. I think they're a solid A. Even an A+. He's got 3 top 10 running backs potentially.
But you see these words before I'm going to say it. And the words are, let me start with, I want to propose a type of trade where you give me J.D. McKissick, and I would like to acquire him as a handcuff to Gibson. I didn't care about the top end of his. I just wanted to give this trade proposal. Past that, he has youth, and he has Taylor. He has Dobbins, plus experience with the J.D. McKissick, the Gus Edwards, the Tariq Cohen, that he has high floors. So please trade me J.D. McKissick.
You might want to send him a message. I don't know if he's going to make it 3 hours, 10 minutes.
Please trade me J.D. McKissick. All right, continue on with your talk about it.
Yeah, we're done with this team.
We're pretty much done.
It's really led by its running backs and quarterbacks for this year.
I just wanted to get in the trade talk. Yeah. And no one's going to listen, but that's fine. It's for us.
If you believe in Noah Fant so much, why aren't you trying to trade for him?
I don't even know why you have it titled. I got to look, but we'll get to that later. I really, really, really do believe in Noah Fant. So, but
if I'm being honest, Tony, I'm surprised you haven't traded half your team already.
That's true. We'll continue. Any other final notes about his team before we move to?
We're on to the next one.
Yeah, we're
fully chubbed.
Fully chubbed. Let's get on to Cal.
Next one, fully chubbed. Quarterback, it's a C. I don't believe in Tua. I don't believe in Derek Carr. If Mason Rudolph was truly the answer, the Pittsburgh Steelers would have turned to him. He has Nick Chubb. He has Raheem Mostert, Melvin Gordon, Carter, Chubb. Carter and Chubb are very good future pieces. Chubb, Mostert, and Gordon, I don't know. Chubb has a lot of miles on him. Mostert is old, and so is Gordon. A+ with the wide receiver. Adams, Cooper, Hill, Pittman, Ruggs, Parker. He has very top-end talent with Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, and Tyreek Hill.
Two top 10 receivers.
Yes. Michael Pittman, Henry Ruggs, and Devontae Parker could turn into top-end wide receivers. He has Darren Waller, who could be the heir apparent to Travis Kelce, and Jared Cook. Overall, I give him
what you've been saying. That's not what you've been saying all podcasts.
No, it hasn't.
Well,
it hasn't.
Can't be the heir apparent to Kelce. If the fans can be the heir apparent to Kelce.
It is. But go ahead.
I like Waller, but he is already 28. Like he's had like substance abuse shit. Like he might have more mileage on his body than it seems like. I'm sure he could have a year where he's like the tight end one, and the Raiders do always seem to have like Gruden picks a guy that he's going to pepper with targets. It was Hunter Renfrow, and then it was Nelson Aguilar, and now a lot of people this year think it could be Henry Ruggs. But you know, this is another like, okay, the running backs aren't great, but clearly he spent the early picks on nailing down 2 top 10 wide receivers and a top 5 tight end, and he took the running back in the first round as well. So I think this is the thinnest quarterbacks, not necessarily the 2. You know, if he's assuming he's using Carr as the super flex, like, and 2 is okay. I mean, I don't know. He's not. He's probably the worst QB1, I guess, of anybody.
Now, before
I'm scared about what week I play fully.
I just want to say one.
If I play the week where Adams drops 40 PPR points, I'll be mad. If I get the week where Adams has like for him 15, 16 PPR points, then I'm going to feel a bit more confident playing him.
Yeah, totally.
Now, before you continue, I am still all in on Noah Fant. I just think Waller has the potential to be that tight end. It's not taking back from what I said earlier, but continue.
No, I think if he plays, if he's healthy, he's a clear top 5 tight end. But you know, like he hasn't practiced for 8 straight days now. He's either holding out or he's hurt, and he's been hurt before. So I don't know. And then it's like, if you don't like David Carr as a quarterback, how much can you love Waller as a top 3 tight end? I don't know. I stay away from the Raiders for the most part. Even Jacobs this year, I'm staying away from. I'm pretty much off the Raiders generally. And as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I have always hated the Raiders. So it's not hard for me to stay away from them. I don't think they're that good. I don't think Carr's that good. I think Cal and Sam have the weakest quarterback situations, but at least Cal has 2 definite starters. Sam doesn't definitely have 2 starters. Cal at least has 2 starters. So he gets the nod there as not the worst quarterbacks, but maybe the worst QB1. I'd still rather have Ben over Tua, I think, for this year. Probably not going forward, but for this year, that's the worst QB1 of anybody, at least so far.
Okay. Real quick, is there anything you want to add with fully chubbed? Sorry, Harry.
What?
No. I think we've covered it. Yeah, tight end, wide receiver, the real stars, and then running backs, decent. Got good amount of guys, and some future guys as well. And then quarterbacks, the question mark.
Now, Harry, I will give you this because you came on as the guest.
Yes.
Which team do you want to disseminate first? Mine or Alan's?
Oh, right. Yeah, I got both of you in the same
He's licking his chops. Just
I'll save Tony for last. It feels right.
Oh, I don't care either way.
Let's do Chuds.
Okay. Continue. You're the one who grades the last 2.
Oh, I can drive these last 2. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, cool. So Chud's starting at quarterback. 1-2 punch is pretty up there for best in the league. Rodgers is pretty motivated. And Prescott, if he stays healthy, I mean, there's not a better wide receiver trio in the league to me than Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup. So, yeah, I love it. And then Cam Newton's decent depth for this year. Heineke's a nice little question mark because he's had some buzz around Washington. Looked all right in his games he played last year, and potentially Fitzpatrick doesn't work out. Everyone seems to think he's just locked in for the start of the year, and he probably is. But anything happens to him, then that's a pretty good handcuff as such, if the quarterback has any handcuffs. And then Minshew, interesting trade, but I don't know what team would trade to start him. Maybe the Colts. But I mean, it wasn't huge draft capital put into him, so he's someone that's there as a lottery ticket, so that's decent. Running back is probably a little bit light. The same thing with the thing you're talking about with Tampa before, Alan, with the not sure where everything's going. Fournette and Bernard are both there in the backfield. I think Jones should score the most fantasy points out of all of them, but I think they will eat into him a little bit. And I mean, he's not being drafted as a first few rounds running back, and that makes sense. But he has potential, and he's definitely startable. And James Robinson, I think is a little bit underdrafted at this point. People still just go back to that undrafted. The Jags were terrible last year. He's not actually going to be a real NFL running back, but he's going to be a one running back for his team, or a very well-used two. Probably more likely the one, the more traditional running back, and ETN's used more as a receiving type. So I think, I mean, they're both guys that should be RB. They're probably both RB2s, but that's startable, especially when you have a really good super flex and a really good starting quarterback. So, and then the depth's decent. You got a lot of, as we said, those handcuff guys. I love Latavius Murray every year. He always returns value. Madison is a nice shot to have there. If Cook goes down, he will be really highly utilized. Brown, I actually think Salvin Ahmed might be the one to get the nod. If Gaskin goes down, and I think regardless of if they're healthy or not, Brown will still be utilized. I had him last year in the league, and in LA, he's used a lot as like a third down pass catching guy. So I think that role will stay the same, regardless if Gaskin works out or not. They'll try another sort of more traditional running back, and he'll be the third down guy or the goal line guy. So yeah, probably the weaker part of the team's a running back, but that makes sense given how strong you are in other areas. Higgins, Lamb, Moore is a really good young top three that will still be decent this year. So high grades for the wide receivers. You return Michael Thomas if he returns his brain at some point. Hardman's got a little bit of helium. Brooks should be good if he can get off the Texans, or they sort it out post the first bit of this year. And then Pitts at tight end, fourth pick in a draft for a tight end is capital that no team's ever invested in a tight end before. So they believe it. The people that work in the NFL are smarter than we are with football, so I think we should follow their brains. So I would say quarterback, wide receiver, tight end are all. Quarterback and wide receiver are A's. Tight end might be a B+, just because there's still a little bit of risk, given it's the tight end. I like Ali Cox as a backup, but not quite ready to give that an A yet. Just it would be based on all. So a little bit of unknown, and then running back probably in the C+ range, and then overall probably a B+ for the team would be what I'd give.
Before you continue with mine, I think Harry kind of told us he's going to believe in Salvin, the Miami running back. That might be his first waiver claim.
So he was drafted. He was drafted literally the pick after Brown. It was really interesting because Alan had the choice of Brown and Salvin, so that's why I said it. I don't know who will score the most fantasy points, but I think in terms of being the traditional next man up, in terms of taking the most snaps or whatever, it might be Salvin if Gaskin doesn't turn out. But give or take,
I just want to throw that out there because I think Salvin, to the best of my knowledge, was undrafted.
No,
he was drafted the next pick after Malcolm Brown.
Oh, he was. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're right. Oh, good.
No, he was.
With Harry, you can give your honest opinion on my team, and I will take any of it because Go ahead.
Right, here we go.
And if Alan, you want to continue on it, go ahead.
Oh yeah, do you have anything to say about Alan's team, Tony, or are you waiting as well? Is that part of the suspension building?
I can give my quick grade on Alan's team.
Yeah, go on.
Chud, I had quarterback. I was very much harsher than you were on this quarterback. I had Rodgers. No, it's just my opinion. You watch that Dak Prescott injury. It's very scary. Very scary. I'm also a big believer in underlying storylines and stuff like that. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is committed to Green Bay. This is my opinion.
Not past this year, he's not, but for $45 million and a chance to rub their face in it, he is.
Correct.
He seems like that kind of guy to me. He wants to come out showing them what they're missing out on.
He does. He wants to give
I could have been the face of your franchise. I could have retired here. I could have been the next Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. Like, I could have been the legend, and you guys fucked it up. So I'm gonna get Devontae Adams paid. I'm gonna pepper Randall Cobb with some targets, and then I'm gonna win a Super Bowl. I'm gonna win MVP. And I'm gonna leave like Tom Brady left the Patriots. And then now everybody loves him in not Miami, but loves him in Florida. That's what he's going to do. I don't know where he's going to go next year, but
I'm not disagreeing with you there, but it's just my personal opinion.
Sure.
And part of it is, I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a Bears fan.
What the hell was that?
What?
Pork? Oh, pork.
On this at 12:30 my time. I thought I was going to be having like a 1:30, 2 o'clock lunch. It's now 4 p.m.
I'm sorry.
So no,
that's my fault. I like to go
to eat something because I'm going for a run in like an hour and a half.
You're enjoying it
like a half hour ago. So,
hey, Alan, Harry, you're enjoying this, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I just need to eat.
Okay.
I still need to eat, yeah.
With me and Alan, it's a thing of Aaron Rodgers and God, who's the second quarterback? Dak.
Yeah.
Dak had a devastating injury.
That doesn't worry me at all, honestly.
No, and that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. And that's just my reason for my grading. Sure. Aaron Rodgers, it's the age. I don't think Dak bounces back and is the same quarterback he was before. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm a Bears fan, so I hate Green Bay. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I don't have any other better reason. And of course, Harry looks like he's laughing at this because he's a partisan, observer.
Both of them are finishing as QB1s this year, so
yeah,
I don't see them not being both in the top 12 quarterbacks. So
Harry's eating some pork. Let me do your team, Tony. Let me start your team.
Oh, go ahead. I had a few more things with this team. Go ahead.
I'm going to start with yours here. Quarterbacks, I love. I kind of did this kind of crap during the draft, but obviously I love your two, your starter and your super flex, and then even Goff as a third. You're one of the teams that got a definitive third starter, and not like Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyrod Taylor kind of third starter, where he might start some games, but he might be out of there. Like Goff's gonna start all the games, so you've got a safe third. You have three very good, at least projected workload wise, three very good running backs in Gibson, Sanders, and Henderson. Now, moving forward, Henderson's probably nothing more than a guy for this year, he's going to turn into a pumpkin, and that. But you didn't spend like a top 20 pick or anything on him. Like you didn't draft him for that. You drafted him for this year. So the top 2 running backs, I'm not a huge Sanders guy, but I do love Gibson, and I know the value of Sanders. So that's 2, top 12, top 15 running backs. You do have some receiver depth issues. You might have the worst number 1. You might have the worst wide receiver 1 on your team if it's Tyler Boyd. In my opinion, but just I don't see a worse wide receiver 1 than Boyd.
I think Chark might be the wide receiver 1 on this team.
Well, even if it's Chark, okay, so I mean,
it's still the worst wide receiver 1.
The only one worse than Boyd would be Chark, and they're both on your team. So, you have weak wide receivers. That's not. Hey, somebody just homered for the Orioles. You got to be weak somewhere, but I think you have the weakest wide receiver 1 for sure. But I do really like Curtis Samuel. I do like DJ Chark. And I do kind of like Tyler Boyd, but it's just you don't have a clear 1 there. And the younger, I don't. Callaway,
that was my design.
Go ahead. Somebody was going.
That was by design with the wide receivers.
Sure. Yeah. You have to ease off the gas somewhere. When you have 2 great QBs, 3 potential top 15 running backs. If Henderson gets the kind of workload for the Rams that he could, you got 3 top 15 running backs. You gotta take a break somewhere. And I know you like Cole Kmet because you wanted him in our dynasty. Not that he was an early pick for you, but that's just what I'm looking at. I don't like your receivers. I think you have bottom 3 wide receivers.
Oh, that's a fair assessment.
That's what I think.
Harry?
Yeah, I think the wide receivers are weak. I'm more concerned about tight ends. It's really all or nothing on Cole Kmet here. I'm not in on Dawson Knox and Herndon. Their names, and their dart throws, they could pan out, but just as much as any other player could pan out, I guess. Cole Kmet has the most potential out of all of them, and he can get there, but I think this is tight end's going to be where you're going to lose a lot of points, and it's probably the best position to lose a lot of points at, and that's fine, and that's probably a bit by design as well. You pick 3 high upside guys and hoping one of them's going to turn out, and they probably can. Wide receiver, I would use the word makeshift in the sense that like Callaway's got potential for the first bit of the season until Thomas is back, if Thomas comes back, so he can start and he'll do okay. Landry, I think, still got something left, so he can start and he'll be okay as a wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 3 probably. Chark is probably my favorite out of all of them, and I think he'd be like, you'd be happy if you had Chark as your wide receiver 3 instead of wide receiver 1. So yeah, it's, but as you said, by design a little bit light at wide receiver, but I think there are names there that can start. I don't know if I'd be happy, but I can see starting Chark, Boyd, and then a combination of Samuel, Landry, Callaway, who've had the best matchup, and going, it's not great, but I can do it for a week and still have a chance to win with my other positions being strong. Quarterback, I love. Why was I going to call you Colin, Alan? I don't know. As Alan said, Herbert Burrow's great, and Goff. I think Goff's even a little bit underdrafted. He's got the job, and yeah, he was shocking last year, but he should still have the job. And hopefully, if he can, Detroit can sort him out, then he might be a starter for years to come. So it's a decent QB3 in a league where you just, by the time you get to your QB3, you just want guys that have a job. So you tick the box there at quarterback. It's an A for me. And then running back, Gibson, Sanders, Henderson for this year. Yeah, it's like a B plus for me. And then wide receiver and tight end are in the C's. And then I think that overall would bake out as probably a BB minus for me.
I would say that's fair.
Go ahead.
Like I would say that's fair is personal self-reflection. Like he nailed pretty much how I wanted to build my team. I'm fine with lower end wide receivers. Chark, I feel, is going to be the guy in Jacksonville. There's a few other lower end, younger wide receivers that I like, but that's personal opinion.
We line up there because if Lawrence is going to be good, Chark will have to be good.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I feel it's a fair assessment of my team. I'm not going to dispute it. And you said a lot of fair things about my team as well, Alan. I'm not going to.
No, you know what you're doing. You're living on your quarterbacks and your running backs. I mean, you're not like there's nothing to sugarcoat there. You have A plus quarterback combo, and B plus A minus running backs. If Sanders comes back and is really good in Philly, you have two potential top 12, top 10 running backs in Gibson and Sanders, and then Henderson, at least for this year, at the very worst, is a great flex if you need him, or if somebody gets hurt, he's a good RB2. It's a good problem to have. Too much running back depth is a good problem to have. So,
Henderson / Xavier Jones was the play for this year.
Right.
Now, either they're going to carry me to greatness, and I look like a genius this year, or I'm just being honest about it, or either one of them falls flat on their face, and I'm one of the first picks next year. I don't think there's much middle ground with picking either one of those two. I believe in the Rams offense and the Rams running back position that getting Henderson and Xavier Jones handcuffed for this year sets me up for success this year. And then my depth with the quarterback will carry me over to the following years.
Your quarterbacks are going to put up big points every week. I mean, as long as they both stay healthy. Yeah. Your quarterback combo is top 3 in the league, I would say. I like it more than my own, and I like my own, but I like yours more than my own. And I like Cleveland Marks, and I like Harry's. I mean, that's probably the top 3 for me, and then maybe me at 4 just for quarterbacks. That said, I could see my team being top 3 quarterback point wise, at least this year. But for the dynasty aspect, I don't like having the 37-year-old Rodgers and then Cam Newton, and that's not good. But that doesn't concern me enough to worry about. But I love your quarterbacks, and while I don't have any Miles Sanders shares, he's shown the capability to be a top 10 RB, especially if they want to catching passes out of the backfield and everything. I mean,
who knows what Philly's going to do?
Yeah.
Are they going to be a run first?
Philly, I have massive question marks across the roster.
Yeah. Who knows?
Question mark.
Dude,
backfield, Sanders is leading it, but question mark. Devontae Smith, best receiver, but
rookie wide receiver. Yeah.
Tight ends, got it, and Ertz. How that going to play out? It's literally Philly's probably the team in fantasy that have us scratching our heads.
You don't know. You have no idea.
Have guys that you want to take, but you don't know when to take them because you don't know what they're going to be. Yeah, they're not like the Raiders that just have guys you don't want. But
talent across the board, for sure. You got Goddard, Ertz, you've got Jalen Hurts, and I don't think anyone's backing him up. But you have Travis Fulgham, and I'm just throwing that name out there as someone who's been fantasy relevant. And all of the other plethora of wide receivers they've had. Would it shock you that – go ahead.
They've got Flacco and they've got Nick Mullins in Philly. Okay. So they have Yeah, I know it's funny, but I'm not 100% certain that Hurts is the guy. I'm not 100% sure.
Would it shock any of you guys if I said that Duke is the wide receiver they sign off the streets? Because Duke lives close to Philly, and he's the number one wide receiver. Like, I'm just using Duke as the name because we all know Duke. But would it shock you that Duke, aka John Doe, is the leading wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles?
No.
I don't have the account. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is, who is the number one wide receiver for the Eagles?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's John Doe. Yeah, I don't know.
Whenever it's a rookie, it's sketchy.
Yeah. My point to Harry and both of you is, if I just told you that Duke, a.k.a. John
Just
Smith,
anybody. Yeah, okay, I get it. I got you now.
is signed off the streets and is the number one wide receiver for the Eagles, would it shock you?
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon could be John Smith.
I think Noah Fant would be the best wide receiver in Philadelphia.
Oh,
I'm there with that. Yeah, because I don't know anything about that rookie.
He would be. I'm not going to dispute that, and that would be a great landing spot for him. But I don't think the Broncos are going to sign away their best receiving threat.
No, probably not.
And with that brings us to the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, closing comments. Harry?
It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed getting on. I like that I got on a football one. Baseball one, I think I'd be able to offer something, but I don't feel like I know baseball as well as a lot of the guys in that league. So football, I feel like I could hold my own in this one, and it was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome anytime. And I'm sure I speak with the football side and Alan speaks the baseball side. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah, I'd like to have you on for baseball. I don't think you have to know a lot about baseball. It's just about your team and shit. But, yeah, this was good. This was long, but it was good. There's been actually somebody watching it the whole time. I'll be curious to see the numbers on it when YouTube shows me, like, the average amount of time people actually watch this thing. I put the over-under at, like, 48 minutes, and we're, like, 3 hours and 40 minutes. So, we'll see. But, I mean, thanks for putting up with it, Harry, for almost 4 fucking hours.
Oh, no, my pleasure.
But I got seven Facebook friends that might watch it.
Bring it on.
So let's get this thing monetized.
Any of them Taysom Hill or Sean Payton? Because then we should be concerned.
They might stop listening after the first few minutes.
Yeah, we'll just
busy people. Taysom Hill's got a whole offense to learn now. He's the QB1 in New Orleans.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes. And we'll do more. This won't be the only football one we do. I can be sure of that. Yeah.
We can have you on later on when we work it out, with our schedule. I want to try to get like the guys who've never been on, especially that are in both the baseball and football league. And I appreciate you making time, Harry. Like, I hope that I hope some of the ABL guys listen to some of it because they never seen your face. And I'm a person that likes to put face to people. Like now people see, oh, this is the guy I'm talking to at the White Sox, or sorry, I forgot your football team name. But
kids are pretty simple.
Also, Roto.
That guy from New Zealand. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like people put that.
And DZFC.
Yeah. So I appreciate you making the time to talk to all of us.
Thanks for having me. It was good.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Alan or Harry?
No, I think Yeah, I'm glad we splintered off a little bit and are expanding the Duke Fantasy Network. I think it's a lot of these guys. It's their first dynasty football. It's my first dynasty football outside of the one I did with you. I think it's going to be a fun league. So hopefully it will be. And it's about all I
May the
got.
luckiest man win.
Yeah, right. The most injury-free man win. Yeah.
And for some of us, it's bedtime, and for you, Harry, it's happy hour.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you guys enjoy your time. I'm going to sign off.
All right, man.
All right.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.